are some better days. Fuck me, I'm looking in the mirror, so foggy, but I've never seen clearer. I don't really think anyone can save me, and honestly I'm not really sure I want saving. I like to be my own worst enemy. There's no risk if you don't try at anything, so I'ma just get buying everything. See you in the next life, have to be a better me. I don't think that my head's on straight, gotta flip it and grip it and go and get an x-ray. What's wrong with me? I just feel weight pushing on my chest and it squeezes till I suffocate. Better change my mindset, meditate. It's pretty cool that I'm alive and have better days. I could walk, see, hear, I should celebrate. Think I could change my mind, maybe elevate. Living life, everyday, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Yeah, all I need are some better days. Cause all I want, and I pray, I believe in the better days. I'm kinda stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do I work hard or live at my pace? You're only young once, yeah that's all great, but I also want a future where I'm okay. Living life is doing lots of cocaine. Wait no, it's living with no shame. Wait no, it's sleeping in on Sundays. I guess it's different for each of us and that's okay. Well I just wanna be happy, how to get there? Glad that you asked me. I think it's different for everyone. Some of us need work, others need fun. Some of us need purpose to overcome. But try to do what you love when it's said and done. Cause there's so many differences in each of us. Trust your gut, it can show you what you want. Living life, everyday, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Yeah, all I need are some better days. Cause all I want, and I pray, I believe in the better days. Living life, everyday, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Yeah, all I need are some better days. Cause all I want, and I pray, I believe in the better days. So best friends got each other's back. We used to cruise around with a bass to the max. Everyone at school while I was in the lab, cooking up some beats that would turn into tracks. High school chillin', I was on a mission. I had bigger dreams of being a musician. Teachers always talked but I couldn't seem to listen. I lived in a fantasy land, they called it fiction. But I was gonna be big one day, playing shows on the road to a sold out stage. Nobody really cared or believed I would make it anywhere close, I would fail and fade. But that's cool, I love that, cause any little doubt gives me energy back. And now, I'm in a place where I'm glad I never gave up on the dreams I had. And big dreams lead to big things, and big swings lead to big rings. Championships or the big screen, anyone who did anything took a big swing. And big dreams lead to big things, and big swings lead to big rings. Championships or the big screen, anyone who did anything took a big swing. Yeah, let's go. So if you want something big, you gotta swing fast, swing hard and commit. You might miss 10 times, but when you hit, just make sure that you get all of it, okay? People at the top took risks. Investing and testing is all that they did. It's not complicated, it just takes grit. So never give up, take a swing at it. And big dreams lead to big things, and big swings lead to big rings. Championships or the big screen, anyone who did anything took a big swing. And big dreams lead to big things, and big swings lead to big rings. Championships or the big screen, anyone who did anything took a big swing. A small cage, but a big hive. All's at stake, it's my time to shine. Yeah, I'ma train hard, mistakes turn into learned scars. To build a brickyard, it's one by one, each bar. So build it tall, build it strong, build it large. And build a base first, so reliable you can reach the stars. Lights so bright, I can feel the rays. My lungs feel tight, I could barely breathe. Sleepless nights waiting for the day. I wanna be strong, wanna be brave. Bloody hands wrapped, covered up in tape. I might not be the best, but I never break. I will not surrender, I am a contender. I gotta be strong, gotta be brave. Lights so bright, I can feel the rays. My lungs feel tight, I can barely breathe. Sleepless nights waiting for the day. I wanna be strong, wanna be brave. Bloody hands wrapped, covered up in tape. I might not be the best, but I never break. I will not surrender, I am a contender. I gotta be strong, gotta be brave. There's moments in time where you gotta step up, be courageous and grind. When you come face to face with the fears that you have, do you cower or shine? Today is the day, make a change in my life, I think it's about time. I won't let fear hold me back anymore from me getting what's mine. I'll change my brain, my thoughts. A new game, new rules, my laws. Step up, slay down, a new boss. I'll be the one, starting my reign, up at the top. Lights so bright, I can feel the rays. My lungs feel tight, I could barely breathe. Sleepless nights waiting for the day. I wanna be strong, wanna be brave. Bloody hands wrapped, covered up in tape. I might not be the best, but I never break. I will not surrender, I am a contender. I gotta be strong, gotta be brave. Lights so bright, I can feel the rays. My lungs feel tight, I can barely breathe. Sleepless nights waiting for the day. I wanna be strong, wanna be brave. Bloody hands wrapped, covered up in tape. I might not be the best, but I never break. I will not surrender, I am a contender. I gotta be strong, gotta be brave. My body went numb like a minute ago. I can't feel a thing from my head to toe. I lost my mind, man, I'm out of control. I can't stop, no, thinking I'm about to blow. Like a dog fight, you will see the bullets fly. War cry, and there ain't gonna be a place to hide. I got something that's deep inside, like an instinct saying there gonna be a fight. I can feel the eye of a hurricane. It's calm now, but I know that it's bound to change.
Hello. How's it going? How we doing? What's up, everybody? It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm in deep now.
It has been a while. Welcome back to the channel, everyone.
So watch out.
Put this here.
They ain't no going back now. They ain't no going back now.
Oh, wait.
They ain't no going back now. 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 Yeah, I'm ready to brawl.
Dude, I look tired. I've been surfing like 3 hours in the blazing sun today. But I feel ready and alive. That lighting better. Kind of weird still, right?
Round two. Hands up, protect your face. You give blows to the dome and the blood you'll take.
That works, I guess.
One shot, so no mistake. Pick your spot, let it rock.
All right. So we're gonna watch the Townhall with Aaron.
You can put me in the middle of any ring. I will come out a champ when the hands swing.
because I also need to prepare for the AMA that we have on Friday with Aaron. And I want to watch the Townhall at least like 2-3 times, so we're gonna watch it together here. And I'm gonna play overworld on the side because, yeah, my monkey brain needs more stimulation than just a podcast. So yeah, let me boot up Illuvium, and then we can boot up the Townhall. And yeah, so Friday is the AMA, and Saturday we have our tournament finals live here on stream. That's gonna be cool as well. Chill. Relax, buddy.
Addicted to being savage. My life is a little graphic, like HBO making magic. I'm rapping to make that passive money coming from traffic, doing mental gymnastics. I'm fluid and problematic. You losing if you come at me the wrong way. I've come a long way from sipping on Bombay. It's 1942 now in this loud mouth, sipping hard in the back of a booth, sold out. I can never get enough. Success is like a drug. The money come in, but then I want more stuff. So I gotta work hard, play harder.
All right, we're in.
Work smarter. Time is money, yeah, money is harder. So I'm not giving up. No, I'm not giving it.
You can also play some Gauntlet if anybody knows the queue. Let's see real quick. I haven't played Gauntlet in a while at 15. But Gauntlet is a little bit harder to do things on the side, right? You gotta focus a lot on Gauntlet. 1 out of 8. All right, get out of here. Yo, let me boot up chat. I couldn't see chat yet. I hope it's working. All right. Chat is up. Welcome, everybody. Let me check our team real quick. See if we're ready. No, we're not ready. We have fused a bunch of Illuvium. So maybe today we can actually fuse a Dark Holocuculus. We still need 10 levels on him. It needs to be level 40, so we'll see. Soon. Let's see what else we want to level. My pride lives in me, and now it's time to teach others how to win with me. I move like an athlete pro. I party like a rock star show. I live every day. I never know which Illuvials I buy because I have so many offers out for people. And then when the next time I log in, I have like 10 more Illuvials usually. My arcane links didn't get fixed yet. Rough. Gotta fuse an Archie. To take down, you already know. Get the fuck out of my face now, yeah, you gotta go. Man, I'm on the chase now, leave me on my own. I got a chance to break now, here I fucking go. Take control of fate now, I can control my flow. And I know that I'll be great, how putting on a show. I know that I'ma stay loud, drowning out the noise.
We got a bunch of Illuvials in here, don't we? God damn. I want to start from the bottom because I always start from the top, so I think my chance of fighting 3 Illuvials that I can fuse is higher if I start from the bottom.
And I will not forgive those who hold me down. And I will never give up, I'm moving forward. And I will never miss my chance.
How are we doing, everybody? How's your week been? Have a good week so far? Health, attack speed, resistance. Hey, we can try to fuse a Vermilia. Look at that twine, level 60, perfect set. Isn't it a beauty? Isn't it a beauty? Take a screenshot. Isn't that a beauty?
Take some action, take the ship and be the captain. Head on out and don't look back, yeah. I'll always live my life till it's over. And I will not forgive those who hold me down. And I will never give up, I'm moving forward. And I will never miss my chance, take it now.
Alright, we're gonna start with the AMA in a second. Alright, we got another candidate here. And all 3 of those that we want to try to fuse today, that to be Vermilia and Archie, they all have perfect movement speed.
Let's go.
So today we actually have a chance in perfect Illuvia 6 out of 6 perfect sets, which I'm pretty excited for. The team should be good enough, I think. Maybe we're missing a little bit on tankiness, so instead of the Gorilla, we could bring our perfect Stoic Lynx, I guess. Where is it? There it is. And then, so we got 2 Empath, 3 Empath, 1, 2 Scion, 3 Scion, 4 Scion with the Ranger, so maybe even 1 Scion too much. Maybe some Bulwarks instead of the 4 Scion could be good. Do we have anything perfect with Bulwarks? Caradulu is sure we have one, but oh, the Twine is already max level. Health, resistance. Health, attack speed. We have a perfect crunk, right? Oof, 1 missing in the attack damage. That's a pity. That's a pity, that's not good enough. Tank-wise, we're not looking too strong. The Stinge is not too bad. We got the Twine and the Stoic Links, I guess. That's it. Crazy. There's not so many more tanks, huh? We gotta buy more flares. Watch out for some Scarabocks.
I'm on the climb to the crown in my prime right now. Hear me loud, I've been spitting for a while now. All by myself, independent DIY now. Don't need no help, I've been beating out labels and money and budgets. It's funny, I do all the work, yeah, keep it one.
Maybe it doesn't show all bulwarks. There's like Titanor would be a bulwark, but it's not here, right?
Empires out of buildings. I wanna leave a legacy of helping others finally feel things, of motivating and killing depression, exhaustion. We need some healing. I work through the pain. I like seeing gains. I keep my head down, buried, walk through the flames. Yeah, I do this every day, even when I feel drained. A true man pushes through. You don't hear complaints. No, I don't wanna stay the same. Yeah, so I keep pushing through the pain.
Maybe the Ophisto. Let's go for 5 Scion instead of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the Ranger. 1, 2, 3 Empaths, and then 1 Stoic. I think that could work. I mean, I have a lot of perfect ones, but not tier 4 and tier 5. I have a Richter, a good one. And then attack speed. Omega power. We could fuse a perfect Holo Richter. Omega power, attack speed, attack damage. That would be cool. Alright, anyway. I'm dilly-dallying too much. Let's keep the Riptor on the list. Let's actually watch the Townhall and play a little bit. What is Art Ace? A little bit of a downgrade. Instead of the Monarch, Holo Monarch. I do want to have a perfect Holo Monarch level 60 though, so I might just take the Monarch. But if you want to, and we have 3 stage 1 units, so I don't think we need to downgrade the Monarch. I think this will be tough already to win all fights. Victor Lima, good morning. I hope Trump doesn't shit in the speech today. What, shit himself? Are you from America, or are you following the US politics closely for crypto? It's fun, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Good day, sir. So Dan MC, welcome, welcome. All right, I got my team for the overworld. I think it's all good. Maybe a different weapon, but yeah, that's just really fine-tuning at this point. What do we bring? I guess the rod. Invoker? No, we don't need Invoker. Inferno, I guess we could bring. Mystic. Magma. Colossus. That could work, and it gives us full work. Whatever. We're always gonna play the Venomous Scepter anyway, I feel like. Free air, 2 fire. Where are we going anyway? Crimson Waste? It's not a good team for Crimson. Let's go Brightland Steps, I guess. Pretty good for Brightland. Alright. Alright. Let me set it up real quick.
I got all this potential that's deep inside of me, but they hate when you're successful cause they try to be. They sit there being judgmental because you're trying things, and they just want you to settle and do the right thing. So get a good job, don't slack off. Wake up every morning, make a good impression on your boss. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do, and when you're making money, make sure
how big should we do it?
Fuck that, I'll do what I wanna do. I got a different path from everyone, and that includes you.
Kind of like that.
You to tell me how to live life, and these times it feels like nobody's right. Yeah, so I'ma figure out what else we
I have a tier, stage 2, tier 2, 50, 50, 50, 40 movement, 40 attack speed, $10, level 40. No thanks. I think that's a little bit overpriced, but thank you. Because that is just for fusion, right? If it's not perfect set, at least that's how I handle it. And $10 for fusion illuvial for a tier 2 is, that's what I pay for a tier 4, right? Tier 4 stage 2. But thank you. Don't hesitate to bring offers. You can always send the links, I think, on Twitch, I think it works, or on YouTube. Send the Illuvidex links if you want to offer me any illuvials to buy. Mostly I'm looking for perfect illuvials, and mostly I'm looking for below floor price, right? Because if it's above floor price, I just buy the floor. If you have anything to offer below floor price, that is either 5 out of 5 perfect stats or 4 out of 5 fusing material, let me know, guys. But for now, we're gonna watch the Aaron Townhall that happened a few days ago. Aaron, if you probably know it by now, but yeah, Aaron is the game director of Illuvium and especially of Gauntlet. And he presented the vision for Gauntlet and for the arena for the upcoming year, for 2025, basically. And he presented this in a blog post. And after the blog post, he also went on a town hall to talk about all the details. We have the town hall right here. We're going to listen to it together. And while we do that, I'm also going to play Overworld because I got a monkey brain and I need more stimulation. But I'm not going to talk about the gameplay at all. We're just going to watch or listen to the town hall. And yeah, sometimes I'm going to pause it and give my 2 cents about some stuff. I also have a town hall coming up on Friday with him. Not a town hall, it's more an AMA. So if you have any questions that haven't been answered in the blog post or in the town hall right here, please let me know. You can always send me a DM. We also have a thread going on in the Illuvium Discord channel. It's upcoming AMA with Aaron, where you can submit your questions. So yeah, we got the AMA on Friday. This Friday, you still have a little bit of time to submit questions if there's anything unanswered. And I'm also gonna listen carefully and see if there's any questions I want to ask him that he didn't answer in the town hall or didn't go in depth enough right here. And yeah, enjoy, guys. Let's do this. Let's see what he's got to say. The mastermind behind Illuvium. Always nice to listen to him. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. We could also go with like increased speed. I kind of like that.
All right, welcome everybody.
Like
we're here with Aaron, and we're doing a town hall for the Illuvium Arena. If you guys haven't checked out the most recent blog, it's in the announcements
up,
in
Rich?
Discord. Otherwise,
Appreciate
there will be, if
Thank
you're
you for
watching this
setting
live
up.
on stream, there will be a little QR code here. You guys can go ahead and just scan that QR code, and it will take you directly to this arena dev blog. It's a dev blog focused around, you know, the upcoming improvements coming to Gauntlet and Arena in general. And it's very exciting new dev blog. You know, I'm super stoked for all these improvements that are coming. I think it was you know, some well-received feedback from people that saw this. So yeah, we're gonna jump right into it. You can check out that dev blog, but that's mostly what this town hall is going to cover. We're gonna try and, you know, stay on topic for, you know, arena-based topics. I know people have a ton of questions about other things, and, you know, we'll have another town hall with Kieran and maybe Aaron as well, you know, in the future to cover a lot of those topics as well. But right now, let's welcome Aaron onto the camera here. How's it going, Aaron?
G'day. Thank you
no
for
problem
setting
at
this
all.
up for us.
But yeah, so I mean, do you want to give, like, I guess we'll start it out with a brief overview, and then we'll kind of go into questions for anybody that hasn't read the dev blog, and, you know, like your thoughts on writing the dev blog and all of that involved with it.
Yeah, sure. So the main thrust of it is that there are a large number of features that we are building into the game at the moment. These are the features that we think will take it from something which is definitely more of a proof of concept through to a fully finished product. As a lot of you guys know, we launched as a public beta. Once we get all of these features in and polished, then Arena would not be considered a beta anymore. They cover a large number of things, and it will take a fair bit of time for us to get it 100% right. And on top of it taking a bit of time to get those features right, we do need to do some internal testing to make sure that the stuff that we're building is super fun. And then we need to do some external testing with you guys as well, making sure.
Real quickly, I have a YouTube video up where I go through all the blog posts. So if you haven't seen that yet, check it out, because I think Aaron is going to explain things for people that have already checked out the blog post. So feel free to check that out on my YouTube. And also, the public testing with us has already started. They have set out bounties, actually, if you find bugs on the testnet. So if you have testnet access from the past, you can actually right now jump into the testnet build. There's a lot new features that have been mentioned here, already implemented and ready to be tested. And if you find bugs, you might get reworked.
Sure that you find it super fun as well. We've managed to hone Arena from what it was 2.5 years ago to where it is now. I think most people would agree it's in a much better state now than what it was, but there's still a long way to go. So the blog was mainly about showing the roadmap that we have, what we envisage for Arena, and it mostly is about finding our place in the marketplace. What is our point of difference? What makes our game something that people would want to play compared to other games? And we're really leveraging the things that people love about what we do, while at the same time going through and just trying to axe out everything that people are not happy with, or at the very least improve it to the point where it feels like a really polished experience. So it's about 6 separate features that we'll be releasing. Again, as we release these features, it could be that there's feedback that comes back, and it might mean that we need to scrap 1 or 2 of them or adjust them. So don't think that this is like set in stone. As always, we need to make sure that you guys are super happy with it. And more importantly, we need to make sure that when you tell your mates about this cool game, that when they come in, they stick. Right, and that requires more polish, more fun, and overall a much better experience than what we're giving players at the moment. And we think we can do it.
My only issue with it all is every time I learn the game, you guys go and change it. Like I'm getting first and second now, and then now you guys are gonna go change it, and I'm gonna have to start all over again. So that's my only gripe.
I will say this: once we have all these features in place, you'll be way happier coming first or second all of the time, because if you are getting first or second quite often with all of these new features, then it means that you really have truly mastered the game. One of the issues at the moment is that it's mainly about being able to understand what are some of the strong compositions that are available, and there's not enough strategic complexity in the game. And when I say complexity, I know some people get a little bit scared because they think, we don't want it to be too hard to understand. What I really mean is the same sort of complexity that you would get out of any other, easy to learn, hard to master game. That is, as you get further and further down the track, little tiny things can help improve you. And one of the biggest things with these updates is that there's going to be a large amount of input randomness to the games, which means that you have to navigate through, what region am I playing in? How does that affect the way that I'm supposed to play? What are the cards that have been dealt to me? So at the moment, if you want a whole bunch of matches in a row, it might start to feel a little bit boring. Maybe it doesn't to some people, but I think that pros would start to feel like it's been solved, and it would only stop being solved when we release a new patch. But with the new version of the game, it's not the sort of thing that is like technically solvable.
So basically, he burned Rich hard here because he said, yeah, you only win him because there's so much RNG in there, and sometimes you can just get lucky and you actually win a game. In the gauntlet that is coming out, there's going to be a lot more skill expression, a lot more decision making to be made by the players. And it's going to be way harder for someone that's not better than you to beat you, which is the goal where we're going for. And all those elements, or most of those elements, come from TFT. And I really like that we are using their proven concepts for our gauntlet. And yeah, a lot of this like item components and stuff like this. Let's not go over the blog post again.
Each individual match is something that you've got to solve while you're playing it. And that to me is the really exciting part about this genre. It isn't the most noob friendly of genres out there. I'm sure that there's some people that would play a first person shooter or something else and be able to pick it up a little bit quicker. But it really has a lot of accessibility once you've played even just a couple of games. Because remember, part of these updates that we're doing is soon after they're done, we start to roll out the mobile launch. And the mobile launch is going to allow people to play it any time of day. You could be just in bed at night and just open it up and play a quick game. You could be on the train or whatever. And one of the really cool things about this type of game is, even though it does have a little bit of complexity in learning how to be really good at it, it is super accessible, right? And we want to make sure that it is that way. Some people are going to want to get in there and play with just like a single composition and just that's what they love. They love Atlas, so they're going to go for some sort of a, you know, water or tsunami comp, something like that. Other people are going to be really into the pro side of it and want to get into a little bit more depth into it. But it's the sort of game where the number of actions that you do per second is not particularly high, and that means a lot to accessibility. It means that you can be on a train. It means, hey, you could be at work and you just alt tab between, you know, what you're doing and play. And once we get those features in and get you know, our marketing push done for this new launch, you'll start to see the player base tick up and up and up. Queue times will come down and you'll just be able to play anytime. That's really what we're trying to do with this update, is get the accessibility to a maximum so that we can get the largest number of people into the ecosystem. Once they're there, we think that a certain percentage of them will migrate across to the other games, the collection, all that sort of stuff. And we can really start to, you know, put the pedal to the metal.
We go mobile.
I love to hear it. More people, more fun. Hollow here in chat says it's the opposite. Rich is not getting lucky. He's winning because he knows the broken stuff and plays it. That is true. There is less balance right now, or less good balance. But the thing is, with all the new features implemented, I think even if you play the broken stuff, you actually won't be winning because people are going to be able to counter you and play around you. For example, when we get scouting, it doesn't matter if you play the broken stuff. If people see there's not enough people playing the broken composition, they're going to contest you, and it's going to be way harder for them, and it's going to be easier for them to beat you. And if you're heavily contested, you're not going to have a chance. And yeah, I think it all ties in together. It's a little bit of both.
Well, that's going to be a major.
And I'm so excited for Arena, for mobile. Not because I'm going to play it, but I know half of the world is just waiting to jump into Illuvium Arena on mobile, because it is extremely high requirements right now for your system. You need a good computer, a really good computer, to play Arena lag-free. And yeah, mobile is going to solve all of that. And they're down tuning the assets right now. The problem is all the art. You look at this, you cannot just convert this into Illuvium, into the mobile, right? It's like too high fidelity. The team did a too good job and making the art absolute fantastic, which is nice, which makes us stand out from other games. But yeah, not easy to adapt this into a mobile game. So right now they're downscaling all the art. And yeah, it's going to be really cool and really, really good for Illuvium. Then we just need some localization, like translations into other languages. If we get like Terran said, if we get China translation plus mobile, we're done. We're set. We're good.
Issue for my sleep patterns, you know, because even when I mean, being in America, especially on the West Coast, you know, like most of these guys, or at least on the team, are in Europe and Australia. And then it's like, I'm laying in bed and Kieran's like, let's play a game. And I'm like, well, I had to get out of bed to do that. So it'll just be that much harder or easier. Yeah. But yes, harder on my sleep if we're on mobile. But I'm looking forward to that, definitely.
Yeah, we don't want you to have to get up from anywhere that you are. Just.
And by the way, if we have a little bit increased speed, right? So if that goes a little bit too fast, what Aaron is talking, because usually he's talking very high level, let me know. We can definitely turn it down again. If it's too slow, let me know as well, and we go high speed.
Keep your phone on you and then just be plugged into the game all day. That's the idea.
Well, so yeah, like I guess you've covered quite a bit there. How about, you know, I guess one of the major overarching questions is, you know, how does this release schedule look, you know, as far as when these features will start to roll out? Will they roll out together? Will it be like one major thing? Will we be doing it on testnet for people to test out, you know, with us? I guess those main questions.
Yep. It's definitely going to be rolling out piecemeal. There'll be like a feature dropped and then another feature dropped. We have cut back our release cadence for major releases to once a month. We've done that because internally it is a fair amount of work to do a big release. So it'll probably be every couple of weeks that we do a balance update. Whereas for major releases like new features and stuff like that you would have to download a new version of the game, they're going to be once a month. That allows us to make sure that we're spending most of our time on development rather than on fixing up any issues to do with the release. But also, one of the first thing that we'll roll out is effectively a major update to the way the game is sort of manufactured on our side. We currently employ a way of doing things which when we started the project, it made sense for what we were going to do, and unfortunately, it stopped making sense somewhere along the way. And I mean, I've got to take the blame for it. We probably should have pivoted to it a lot sooner. It would have helped us to develop a lot faster. But at the time, we had really, really tight deadlines that we wanted to get to, and the idea of sort of stepping back from that and spending a lot of time re-architecting things just didn't make much sense. Plus, we were mainly focused on Ascendant at the time, and Ascendant is a game mode that doesn't really require so much of what it is that we're trying to do. But we made the choice at the end of last year that we would start working on the new architecture. We're nearly complete with that. Obviously, it's got to go through some testing internally, but once we get that done, a lot of the other features will be a lot easier for us to implement. And more importantly, a lot of things like the crashes that people are experiencing, some of the desyncs and stuff like that, all of that will go away. It will become a lot easier for us to build, and the pace will massively improve. One of the things that we did is we took a large number of the team from Overworld to move to Arena and work, and they're going to keep doing that until we get Arena into a really, really good state. So at the moment, the vast majority of the people on the team are only working on one of two things. One is accessibility and onboarding. So that is everything from the website to monetization and things like that, the way that cosmetics work. Just getting that whole process to be a lot more streamlined and simple. And then everybody else is working on Arena. It's not absolutely everyone, but it's as many people as we can possibly get to work on it. And the upshot of that is that we are getting it done a lot quicker than we would have. And then the trade-off is that later on those people will go back and work on the new MMO Lite that we're working on as well. So
that's cool to hear, right? They learn from their mistakes, and actually they're not working on or excessively working on 3 games at the same time. They're focusing on one, getting this to a good state, and then focusing on the next one.
So it will be rolled out in steps. One of the things that I think people should be aware of is that when we do this, because we've got this overarching vision of what the final product is going to look like, just keep in mind balance might be a little bit off in a couple of those early patches, because we're not balancing for only 2 out of the 6 features, we're balancing for all of them. So if we don't have some of those features that might impact the way the balancing works, it could be that the Ranger is a little bit undercooked for a while, and we're just going to suck that up and say it is what it is, test out the product as it is. If we were to spend 2 weeks with the whole game design team going and balancing around half of the features, we'd be effectively wasting our time, because then a week later we'll have one of the other features ready to go, and then we start deploying it in the next month, and it all gets put up in the air. So we'll be spending a lot more of our time focusing, at least internally, on making sure that it all is balanced around the whole thing being completed. And in the meantime, I'm sure that people will have a lot of fun finding out what are the crazy overpowered strategies when not everything is there. And for that reason, I think that there is still a little bit of fun to be had in the game, but just keep in mind that we are focused on the final release, even if that does happen over a couple of months.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm speaking about all these features that are coming. I guess we'll go into each of these features, and you can kind of give a more in-depth explanation about them, and I'll just go in the order of the blog to make it easy in case people happen to be reading it now and following along. The first one, which I'm super excited about, is this region selection thing. And I'm sure, are these things in the pictures where it shows like +5 HP drone every 7 rounds? Is that like just placeholders, or is that kind of just to give an idea, I guess, of how region selections will work? And maybe explain it, because not everyone knows TFT. Like, I know it from TFT, but I don't think everyone does.
Yep. So these are 3 that we're planning on putting in. But again, there's still some internal testing with these that we have to do. is something that we are at least currently planning. It doesn't mean that those will go in exactly as they are, right? It could be that we work out from some of our testing that, you know, maybe Crystal Shores one is not going to work. The Crystal Shores 3 composites, we've actually changed that now to a hybrid where you get some basic and, you know, you get some primary synergies and you get some composite synergies. That one I think will probably be the most controversial. I know that in other games, these sort of things are definitely very controversial to pro players, because it in some of those games, it takes away a little bit of the, I guess you would call it the agency of the player. I think that in our game, I think it leverages it perfectly. So we're going to give it a shot. But it's not about any individual one. The general idea with region selection is it's really important that the game feels fresh every time, right? One of the biggest issues that we had with Ascendant is that it was absolutely not fresh, because most, or if not all, of the decision making that you did was before the game began. Now, for card games like Magic the Gathering and things like that, there's some other things that they have in place that allow it to work, and I still think that there's a way for Ascendant to work, but we tried to go, I think, a little bit too much for a hybrid between those sort of really static type games and a more dynamic type of game like what Gauntlet is now, and it just didn't work. But in these more dynamic ones, what you absolutely need is for the game to feel fresh. So when you go and go into your lobby and get ready to play, we need you to not understand or not really know exactly what you're going to get. Regions are the first part about that. It leverages our world, our existing lore, and says like, okay, we've got these different places around the world. They're different in different ways. And like, for example, Brightland Steps, we're planning that to be or to play a bit more econ focused, but also it just matches what Brightland Steps is all about. When we developed all of the regions, the general idea is that there is one emotion for each region, right? And the emotion for Brightland Steps is happiness, right? That's what it was always designed to be around. That's what we wanted to elicit from the player base. So when you go into that one, you should feel that sense of like, okay, it's not just like stressy straight away. It's something where I can be a little bit more chill with it, and that should affect your playstyle, right? That's why we've tried to make these, changes to the game match up with what we're doing in Overworld.
By the way, Brightland Steps, the one we're in right now, I think it does capture it quite well. Like, I get those in World of Warcraft, you have Nagrand and stuff like this, like those nature-y kind of maps in open world games. I really do enjoy them, and it just calms me down. I don't like running through hell and just being on edge all the time. I had that when playing Doom. I don't need that in stuff like this.
And with the new MMO Lite. So it shakes up the game. Now, it's not like crazy. It's not going to change the whole way that the game is played. A pro player may disagree a little bit and say it's quite a big change, but I think for most of the audience, they'll feel like it's a good thing to be able to have it be a little bit of a shake up each time you go into it. The blog talks about like voting on it. What we'll probably do to speed up the development and also to get a little bit more feedback on how people enjoy each of the regions is we'll probably make it completely random and you won't have a choice. It's just a little bit easier for us to get that out to you straight away. And then for probably a couple of patches, we'll get some data on, what are people enjoying? What are the things that people really like? What do they don't like? And we'll adjust the effects based on that. But the long-term goal is to have a way for you to go into the match picking what you think is the most fun region to go to, and then some combination of randomness and what you've picked with what all of the other people in the match have picked will determine what region you play. If everybody decides that Brightland Steps is just by far the most fun to play, then everybody votes on that, and it'll almost always be the case that you'll play Brightland Steps. If that is the case, and we're finding that one of them is just by far the standouts, at that point, we'll have some really good data, and it could mean that what that region is needs to be just a keystone feature of the game as it stands, right? We might incorporate that to be, baseline Gauntlet, and then everybody else, will, because they're picking it, we'll change what that effect is, and that way we can shake it up a little bit. So it really gives us a chance.
That's a cool idea. So actually, if something is overperforming a feature, you can implement that into the game as a permanent feature. Like if one of the dynamic features is overperforming, you just make it a permanent one, and then yeah, that way you can kind of try out different features without hard implementing them right away. That's a really cool approach.
And
I wonder if they did that with TFT as well.
Get some feedback from the community as to what you guys like. But the general idea of what regions is everybody goes through an obelisk, and you end up somewhere. Each region has a little bit of a twist on it, and away you go. I didn't see any questions around it, but we want people to be able to pick the regions as cosmetics. So at least for now, we're not planning on showing you the different cosmetic boards depending on what you've gone, what has been picked, because obviously you're going to have your own cosmetic boards. But that's something that we're definitely open to discussing with the community if they would prefer it to be the default is my board looks like the region, and it only changes if you've got a particular cosmetic at your loadout.
I'm definitely looking forward to some more interesting features like this. Like, I mean, like all of this stuff in the blog, I think we're going to go over more, and I think it's super cool because like when I got into TFT, which was when I started here, a lot of these things are kind of part of TFT, and I always thought they were super interesting, made the game different every time. So yeah, super exciting that this is coming. And yeah, so I guess next up is with these weapons. Like currently the weapon system is kind of difficult to get at least like stage 3 weapons. Like I've very rarely gotten stage 3 weapons. I know people have mixed feelings about like they're hard to balance, I'm sure, to get into the shop. Like we kind of just added them recently. So we're going to be changing it again. So yeah, we can go over the new weapon system and how you see that working out.
Yeah. So when we looked at the features that we wanted to have in, one of the major differences between us and everyone else in the Auto Battler space is, we've got this Ranger that has some sort of like a synergistic connection with the Illuvials and with the drone, and we really wanted to leverage that. So we knew we wanted to put that into the game. We didn't want it to be a game where you just are placing Illuvials down. In the overworld, the eventual plan was always to have you fighting with the Illuvials by your side, having a bond, having it be like definitely a lot of teamwork, and that's the direction that we're taking the MMO. But we wanted to keep as much of that in the other games as we possibly could, right? I've said from the very beginning, the Ranger is you in our world. That's your avatar. That's who you are. We wanted you to be able to customize it and really make a connection with it. We're doing a lot of work on the cosmetic side of that to make it feel more like you get to be you. And part of that was we've got to get the Ranger in. But at the same time, we knew that we were just about to start doing this major overhaul of the engine, and we wanted to test out getting the Ranger in before we started doing that work so that there would be a bit of a shake-up and a new feature. So we did what was the fastest way to get it in, which was to make both the weapons and the suits be cards, right? It wasn't that we thought that was definitely going to be by far the best way to do it. We weren't 100% sure. We did test it internally. It was definitely a bit of a surprise to some of us because a lot of the game design team found it to be reasonably, straightforward. You just pick your weapons and suits just like you pick your Illuvials. There is a little bit of upkeep to it, and I'll say that it's on me to not have realized that a lot of people found it a little bit too much, right? They don't want to be thinking about both the Illuvials that they've got to assemble onto their team and the weapons and the suits. Fair enough, right? We had 3 potential ways.
Yeah, to be honest, like I never played TFT and thought, oh, I need please another bench, another shop, and more things to think about. Like it's enough in TFT already.
So we're going to implement it. This is going back probably 6 months. We went with the one that we could get out to the community the fastest, which was to make them cards, add a few more slots, and away we go. When we got that feedback that people said it's too much, we don't want to be thinking about it, I started to go back to the original plans that we'd had about like how do we implement these, and this is what that is, right? So now you'll select a weapon that there'll be a particular time at level 3 is the current setup where you'll get a weapon, and we have 15 of them in the game. Eventually we would like to expand that out to be about 25, just purely because then that covers every combination of affinity and class, basic affinity and classes. And it's another input randomness to the game, right? You don't get to have the same weapon every single game. So that's one of the major differences between what you've got now and what will be the case. Is right now, if you want, you just go and buy whatever you want and you'll be able to get it. Yes, it is definitely very hard to get stage 3 stuff, but you can pick whichever line you want and go for it.
Very hard is an understatement. It's impossible to get a stage 3 weapon. Let's call it like that. That's closer to the truth, and which defeated the whole purpose of weapons, where the composite affinities and synergies in general should have been more accessible, and it just made it happen for the stage 2 synergies. So yeah, I'm really glad they're changing this up, and it's gonna be exciting times. Actually, we're going back to bonding. I'm spoilering a little bit here, but you guys know it already. We're gonna be able to bond again. So that means my ranger will start with basic affinities. It's gonna be nature and scion. And then I can bond it with any Illuvial. If I bond it with this guy who is air and scion, I'm gonna have a, what is it? Nature plus air. I'm blanking here. Wait, what? Anyway, you're gonna be able to get any composite synergy in the game very easily, making the game sound really interesting to me, at least. Wait, what's nature and air? Somebody's gonna say it in chat in a second.
But it's just not that interesting, right? We want the ranger to feel like it's something special. And so we decided that we would allow you to pick 3 out of 15 or 3 out of 25. So again, every game is going to be a little bit different. If you really, really love Triune Blade, you're probably not going to get it every match. It's going to be, 1 out of 5 or whatever, but that's okay because it allows you to pick different strategies. It allows you to think about how can I make new compositions and stuff like that. And for people that have played a few matches, it'll definitely make the game feel fresher every time, right? The other big thing that we wanted to do with this is I sat down and I was like, okay, we want to get the ranger in, but why, right? There's a lore reason, there's a vibe reason to it, but what's the game design reason? What's the thing that makes it interesting strategically? And the unfortunate reality of it was that there's nothing, right? Once you've got your ranger in there and you put the weapon and the suit on them, they're effectively an Illuvial. There's really no difference. And that's a really big missed opportunity, because if you're going to add a different thing into the game, such as your own avatar, there's got to be something that makes it stand out, that makes it have some good elements to it, and some trade-offs. Illuvials, you can always get the ones you want. Maybe you low roll and you can't get ram fire, but you probably, if you really want to, you're probably going to be able to get ram fee every match, right? With the ranger, we want that to be the trade-off. You just can't get the same ranger configuration every game. It's going to be random, and there's a lot of randomness there, and you've got to find your way to the really cool strategies inside of there. But more importantly, we wanted it to be much more configurable. So we broke it apart and we said the weapon is still going to give you the Omega, right? But then as you level up, we want that Omega to change depending on what these weapon amplifiers are, right? So no longer will it be just, it's a set, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and it just gets stronger with the levels. Now you get to make it like properly configurable, right? It could be that your weapon is a really, really strong single target damage, and you get a weapon upgrade that turns it into AoE. Like, that could be really cool, especially if you pair it up with...
That's kind of like rogue-like elements, right? Where you advance. Hey, we got him with a 12% chance. Hello, Mr. Mamu. Wait, is my cam in the way? No, Aaron is actually in the way to see the stats. You're not missing out. Dog shit stat. So roguelike is very similar to that, right? Where you have you progress through the match, through the round, the game, and you get stronger, and you can actually change your abilities to be completely different. That sounds exciting.
The ability to regain energy faster. It could be that you have a stun, and it makes the stun last a lot longer, right? So now your ranger becomes a stun bot. It's not going to do all that much damage, but it's going to disable one unit for a significant portion of the fight. If you position them in the right way, that could change the way that the fight goes. So the whole point of this one is to allow it to be like really, really configurable, and by...
Sorry, I tried not to pause too much. I just wanted to give a shout out to the 771 people right now watching on Twitter. Twitter, I think, disables the chat after 500 viewers. So if you guys want to say something, feel free to come over to Twitch or YouTube. I'm always multi-streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So yeah, shout out to you guys. And if you want to have a little bit more, a better streaming experience, I think, come over to the other platforms. Don't shadow ban me, Elon. I know you're working on the Twitter platform to be better, but right now, I think YouTube and Twitch have better services for streaming still. But hopefully that changes in the future.
By breaking apart the synergies and the effectively the augments that the ranger can get from the weapon itself, it allows us to do that. A alluvial is always going to be one particular way, and there's not really anything that you can do about it. You can't do much besides enhancing their omega. The ranger itself, you can change it in weird and wonderful ways, which will take a long time for people to master and work out what are the best strategies. And once you find, what are some of the best combos to pick, you're not going to be able to pick them every time, right? We're planning on having, somewhere in the vicinity of like 700 different combinations per weapon, and all the different features that go into that. You can't do that every game. So you're going to have to navigate in that space and find out what works for you. And it'll be about
700 per
some of the
weapon?
games you might high roll and get some really cool thing, and then other games you might have to like really strategize. Okay, maybe
that number just trips me out. Why does it have to be 700 combinations per weapon? Like, chill out, dude. Make it 50. 700. What's that number, dude? Yo. Well,
my ranger isn't going to be the carry. Maybe it's going to be more of a support. All of these will need to be balanced so that individually the components are all useful. None of them shouldn't be useful, but when you combine them together with the weapon, there's absolutely going to be the case that certain combinations are more effective than others, just like there's certain augments and augment combinations that are more effective on different sets of alluvials. Each augment should be powerful in its own right, but part of that power is knowing who do I put it on, what is the configuration, what do I put with it, where do I put that unit in terms of the balancing and stuff like that, in terms of positioning. It'll be the same with the ranger, right? If you get two that don't really synergize that well, it's not going to be as good as if you get two that you can really, work for your composition.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to play my Mystic Inferno staff, every game, because that's currently how I'm winning. So,
yeah, no, that can't be the case. It's got to be that, and it also can't be the case that if something pops up, you just auto win, right? That also won't be the case. Everything should be counterable, and
that's the
part
most
of this
important
is
thing.
that we're making a lot of things powerful in the game. The overarching theme of these updates is let them cook. We want you to cook up some crazy stuff.
Looking forward to that. It definitely feels like more of a progression thing too. As you progress through the levels, you can go different routes with your weapon. So definitely something cool to look forward to.
For the record, I'm definitely at odds with a lot of the team on how you should be able to upgrade these weapons. The way that I had designed the system was that it would be at particular level thresholds, so that it was more, you had a little bit more agency with it. Everyone will get the choice of the actual weapon that they get at the same time, just purely because of the way that the leveling system will work. But getting the first and second weapon amplifiers, my plan is for it to be based on getting to those levels, which means you have to strategically choose, do you want to spend those credits to level up and make the ranger more powerful straight away? Or do you want to save those credits to make your team comp of alluvials around you a lot stronger by trying to find, those stage 3s? A lot of the other people on the design team would prefer it to be round based, so that everybody gets it at the same time. There's a little bit of a conflict internally on that. I'm not super strong on it, but just letting everybody know that it could end up being released as a round based system rather than it being a level based system.
Yeah,
either way, I'm sure it'll be fun.
I think when we first spoke about it, I said levels make sense, but I don't really have a preference. I guess we'll have to test it and see.
Playtesting will tell. My major reason for it is having a little bit more agency of when to do it, and also part of these updates is that there are going to be a decent amount of screens that pop up to you at regular intervals, and if it's something that pops up for everyone at the same time, it's hard for us to not sort of add extra time to it so that everybody can choose, and that can make the game go a little bit long. So one of the
one of the design, like one reason for many design decisions in the past for Gauntlet has been to make the game shorter, which I understand they want to do this for the mobile market, where a 45-minute game, if you're winning, feels way longer than a 30-minute game. But to be fair, TFT has set the standard, and as long as we're not longer than TFT, we don't need to push like to be super slower or super faster than TFT. So I would like, for example, the problem where we don't have enough time to reposition, reroll, and do all the things that the player wants to do in the late game, and you have to decide, okay, I'm just gonna have to reroll now and won't be able to do other things instead, or I have to re-roll a round early to have enough time. I think that's not really the way. Like, it stresses me out, it gives me FOMO and stuff like this. And strategy players or Gauntlet players or TFT players, they come to this game because, well, at least speaking from my experience, because I'm old, I don't have the reactions anymore to go above Emerald. I can't get Diamond in shooter games or in League of Legends, but I can still use my brain pretty well and can still reach high ranks in strategy games, especially if they're slow-paced like Gauntlet. I think Aaron says it at one point, APM is not important, actions per minute. But if you shorten the round timer so much because you want to get down on game time, then suddenly it matters, which is kind of against the whole idea of it. So I hope they don't overdo it with trying to squeeze out every second and making it as short as possible and trading off other important things.
Advantage of doing it level based.
That being said, I think now it's pretty all right. Like, they went up a little bit with the time and realized, hey, we stress people out a little bit with having not enough time per round.
Is that we can keep the games relatively shorter. The complexity of it is that people need to know that when they press that level.
There are easily 3 minutes of that time that can be shaved off just from late game turn timer, where you have 1 minute per turn. Yeah, in the late game, it works all right, I guess. And sometimes you just have to start re-rolling earlier. If you have 90 gold, well, maybe you're not able to roll it all down in one turn. Maybe you shouldn't be able to do it. And maybe you have to give up a little bit of income by rolling down the round before. But also what they said a lot is, as the game gets smoother and as the game gets more polished, you're gonna actually feel like you have more time or have more time, because the clunkiness takes away a lot of time already right now, where clicks, like positioning stuff with the tiny hexes, feels a bit clunky and hard to do and stuff like this. That being said, holy moly, that's a big fight. Blaze Knight, Seer, Bloto, Scarabog. Cool. Anyway, I don't want to talk about the game. Let's get back into it.
As soon as they level up to, say, level 6 and 8, a screen will then pop up. It'll be asynchronous, meaning that the round will just keep on going as it is, and you'll have a little like separate timer that says like choose your weapon or choose your amplifier. And that allows us, because it's asynchronous, it allows us to just say, hey, you know, you can still move your units around, you can do all that sort of stuff, you can blah, 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 but you can't shop at the same time. And yeah, but at the end of the day, they both seem good. I can definitely see the team's points, and we'll test it out.
I have to make
see how
quick
it goes.
decisions, I think. Yeah.
There's some decisions in the game at the moment that we feel like one of the big things is we've got to make sure the game feels really fun. And from a quality of life perspective, there's a couple of points in the game which are really slow and unfun and not good. And we're totally changing that so that it'll all happen a lot quicker. And then there's other things that really should have a little bit more time to make the decision, and at the moment you don't, and it feels like you're a little bit rushed. So getting the pacing of the game into a better state is definitely one of the big things.
Time-wise, it feels pretty good right now to me. Like, it's not too long, you know.
Yeah,
just about
now
right.
it's not so bad anymore.
When I'm
It
winning
used to be
more
pretty
often,
bad.
It's a good 45 minutes, I think. But you know, if you're losing pretty quick, it's pretty quick to get back in. So
yeah. That's the thing about Gauntlet, which is genius. Like in League of Legends, right? You spend half an hour if you win or you lose. So it feels kind of lost time if you lose and you wasted 30 minutes, right? But if you go out last place in TFT, instead of 45 minutes game, you have a 15-minute game or whatever it is, 20-minute game. So it feels like it's kind of the consultation price or whatever you say of losing is to save time, which is kind of cool. And if you're winning, you don't mind spending 15 minutes longer. Like, you're fine. You're winning. You're going to be happy.
Yeah, I mean it's not terrible. It's just the length of the game at the moment. I would say is maybe just a little bit on the long side. I'd like to cut it down a bit, but because we're adding all of these extra things into the game, it can be hard to cut that down significantly. What I'm trying to do is to not extend it where possible. But really, the more important thing is that there is currently in the game a bunch of dead time that will absolutely not be there in the future, and I think that that'll make people feel like the game flies by a lot faster and it'll flow a lot better. So it might not change anything to do with the strategy, but it will change how people feel with the game. Especially new players will hopefully not feel too rushed at times, and then not feel too much like things are going a bit slow.
All right. Well, the next feature that we can jump into is one that I think a lot of people have been wanting back, I guess, to an extent, which is bonding. And if you missed bonding, it was where you could, attach your ranger's affinity to your or get an affinity from your alluvial, essentially, and thus upgrading your ranger. So, will it be kind of the same method? We can go into bonding now and how you plan that to work.
Yeah, it's largely the same as what it was, right? We don't want to change it too much. We do think that a lot of people enjoyed it. Where we're putting most of our focus, number one, as I said, bonding now will play a really significant part in the strategy of the game, because remember, the weapon that you get is only going to have the primary affinity and class. This is where we're allowing the player to get any combo of composite synergy in the game. Right? If you really feel like you need to go down that steam route, you can. There should be a way, based on the weapon that you have, that you can sort of get into any combination that works for that weapon. Right? It'll definitely be the case that you can do that. The only thing that won't be perfectly there at the start is there's not every weapon combination going to be in the game at the start. So, but that's just a minor point. The strategy of bonding will be much, much more important. And then the second element that we're looking to fix is that it wasn't intuitive, and it was a little bit hard to see what was going on and what the effects are. So most of the effort that we're going to do with it is to make it be a lot quicker, a lot easier to break the bonds, a lot easier to see who you're bonded to, what you're going to get by bonding, etc., etc. And we're really using it as an opportunity to teach people the game, right? When you drag the alluvial over the ranger, it's going to pop up and show you effectively like this plus this equals that, right? This plus this equals, and you'll be able to understand a lot better what's going on in the game just by our tooltips and the UI that we have. One of the advantages that we've got now of having more people working on Arena is that we can get them to be doing those quality of life improvements. It's so hard. We want to get features out to the community, but then at the same time, the faster we get our features, the less time we have to really make them pop and to work on the user interface and stuff like that. So sometimes they can come out feeling a little bit undercooked. We don't want to do that anymore. We'd rather have people working on both the features and then other people coming in behind them and making sure that the polish of those features is exceptional. So there's not much to say about it. Anyone who knows will get a very good idea of what we're trying to do with it, but I'm pretty sure everyone will see it as an improvement on what we got at the moment.
I'm assuming this image from the blog is just I think it was just concept art from Roger. Yeah, it says bonding concept. So, but I mean, you can even see there, that's an improved look at what we had from bonding before, where you didn't really know what you were going to get, unless like I still look at things to determine what fighter and bulwark does, just because I don't always remember on the fly. So
yeah, and there's little things that we're doing, like if you haven't bonded to something, especially early on in the game, there'll be a tooltip that'll tell you to do it. Right? That's one of the things. Like for a new player, everyone wants to know, like if you're a new player, how are you going to know all of these different things? If you don't put enough alluvials onto the board to match your level, then it'll tell you. If you haven't bonded, it'll tell you that there's, if you have a bunch of augments lying around, it'll say, hey, you can put these onto alluvials, and it'll be a light touch. If you really like know your stuff in the game, you're probably never going to see these tooltips. But if you're a new player to the game, it'll really help you to understand. And one of the things that I think separates us from other games in a good way is, yes, primary and composite synergies can be a little bit to understand because there's more of them and stuff like that. But the variance between two players who have a certain amount of synergies open is going to be a lot smaller for us than others, because you're just naturally going to pick up some synergies. It's almost impossible not to, because there's only 5 primary affinities and 5 primary classes. So just by the nature of it, having those primary ones, you put a bunch of things on the board, you bond something at random, you're going to get some thresholds hit. Whereas in other games, if you just randomly put units on the board, there's far, far more chance that you're going to have no thresholds hit or very few. And to a new player, that can sort of be a little bit surprising. Like, well, why did that guy beat me? Well, because they had, 5 synergies, giving you bonuses. And for us, yes, a pro or a top level player is going to be able to know how to maximize that and all sorts of things like that. But the beginner is going to get some stuff on the board just by randomly throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. Right? You'll definitely get some, and you'll be able to feel it.
Spaghetti.
You'll see the VFX. A lot of them are a lot more prominent now in the new versions of the game, and you'll be able to go, okay, I saw what happened there. We're doing a lot more work on the quality of life of being able to hover over something and see what pops up. Which units are part of which synergies. And all those sort of things. So the onboarding for a new player should be significantly better than what
it already is, honestly.
That stuff is in
I told
test
some
net
people
already.
last night, like, imagine if we had, this version of Gauntlet, like, right now, like, even, like, 6 months ago. Like, it's in just such a better place, and I think people are having a great time already. Even with the small quality of life things we've done, it's in a much...
Imagine all the community investors didn't be so impatient, and everybody just pushing the team to release. And the team being afraid of delaying again, and we could have waited and have a better game out. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? I'm not going to start with that.
I just want to say one more time for the people that have joined us during the live stream, this is like an arena-focused town hall. We will have another one in the future, not too long, with Kieran and probably Aaron as well, about, the MMO and, roadmaps and all that stuff. But this town hall is mainly...
Yeah, my AMA with Aaron, we're gonna talk about stuff off the blog post, especially stuff where we want to ask more questions. So again, feel free to submit your questions to me in Discord. You can send me a DM in the Illuvium Discord. We have set up a thread to submit your questions for Aaron, for the game designer, for the game director of Illuvium. And it's mostly about Gauntlet and Arena again, but we're definitely gonna dive into the MMO light, and I'm trying to get some information from him out, some leaks. And hopefully we're going to be successful with that.
To be focused on the Arena dev blog and the improvements coming to Gauntlet. So I do see questions popping up on the different chats. But yeah, as I said, this is mostly to go over the Gauntlet and Arena focused stuff, and we'll have another one at a later date. But so I guess to continue now on this next feature, which is drone augments. And in this one, it does note that it's replacing legendary augment rounds. So yeah, like how are these... Are we still going to have legendary augments? How are these drone augments? Is your drone going to become a more pivotal part of the fight now as well? So
when we say that legendary augments is being replaced by drone augments, I just want to be really clear. We're not saying that the two features are the same. We're saying that timing is going to be replaced one for the other, right? And it'll look fairly similar. But what they do is completely different, right? Absolutely different. The general idea is that we want you to be able to upgrade your drone during the match. For anyone who doesn't know, the drone is literally the player in Arena. Yeah, the Ranger is a character on the board, and yes, we're trying to make it configurable or whatever, but the Ranger is not the one controlling everything. The drone is literally the one that's moving the pieces around the board. So I guess one of the differences between Overworld, the new MMO, and things like that compared to Arena is that in Arena, the player character is the drone, right? It doesn't feel like that at the moment because we disabled the movement system and stuff like that. That's all coming back. That'll be such a massive quality of life improvement to be able to, hover over to another player's drone and start spamming them with emotes and stuff like that. That's something that people will really love. But the drone is the star of this game. So what we want to allow people to do is to really change the way that you play. Some of the drone augments will be about economy, right? You'll get more credits each turn. You have a higher interest cap. You'll get higher chance of getting higher tier units appearing in the shop earlier. All these sort of things. There's a bunch of them in there that are even related to synergizing with a particular unit, right? They're basically a different dimension of gameplay that we think people will really, really enjoy. And the replacement of legendaries, all that means is that legendaries are these very powerful augments for the alluvials. So now it could be that you get a drone augment that says, open up a legendary crate, and out of that legendary crate you pick one of 4 legendary augments. So that's basically what we're talking about in terms of replacement. It's just the time window where it happens will match up, and then what you do inside of that period is completely different. Remember, a legendary augment is something that you put onto an alluvial. A drone augment is something that attaches to the drone to make the drone better. And people might say, well, what does that mean? The drone doesn't really do anything in the game. And all I'm trying to say is, like, the drone does everything in the game. So you might get one that makes you damage the opponent drone more, or heals your drone up every round. There's all sorts of ones that we would like to put in the game, and the ones that you get, again, are going to need to synergize with everything else that you do. It will be super easy to get into. Screen pops up, click one, done. You don't need to think about anything else. You just pick one and away you go. But to master it, you'll need to say, okay, well, what are the odds that I'm going to go into this sort of a composition? Therefore, do I want to pick the drone augment that's going to make my team, attack faster every round? Do I want to play the long game and pick one that says that I have to wait a few rounds and then we get a bunch of credits? There's all sorts of different things that we can throw in there, and that we plan on doing that. It's one of the first features that we're going to complete just after the regions, and we've already gone through a whole bunch of them and added them to the game. But we want to add a lot of these because there's got to be quite a bit of variety amongst the different ones, but they'll be huge for the different play styles, right? I'm one of those people that really, really loves econ strategies. I would much prefer to hang around on a very, very low amount of drone health and then, come back and win at the end. Doesn't always work, but I'm definitely more a first or an eighth sort of a player. There's other people that are definitely more, I just want to get top 4. That's usually the better strategy, but hey, we're all different in the way that we do it, and we want you to be able to express yourself differently in the game, while not just getting it be guaranteed that I can pick the same drone augment.
I'm typically the same way. I'm a kind of an all or nothing person, Like, I'm either going for it or I'm going to lose trying. So I definitely understand that. A lot of this seems focused around, giving the player more choices, making sure the games aren't the same, they're not a repeatable experience every time, so that's something super exciting to make, for different gameplay.
And they all need to act in different ways, right? Like it can't be that they're all just the same version of the same thing. The way the drone augments work is it's changing a thing that fundamentally can't be changed in other ways, right? To make your whole team more powerful, you either you have to do some sort of a synergy thing or whatnot, but even that is mostly only limited to the synergies that you've got on the board. Whereas drone augments can be team wide. It can be about more damage, more credits. You can't get these in most situations. I don't want to say never, but in almost any situation, these are exclusive to the drone, right? And that's the point of it, that these is a different way to play, a different way to express yourself than what it is to configure your ranger and configure your alluvial team.
We also have that in TFT, right? It's I forgot the name, but you get 3 choices. There is either bronze, silver, gold, or prismatic. Isn't it called augments as well? I think it's augments, which does very much the similar thing. I like the lore about the drone gets upgraded, but yeah, this is very much also a TFT feature, I think, and it's great to see that we implement that.
Games, or the augments that you put onto the alluvials, or even the region that you're playing in.
All right. Well, that's exciting, but I think this next one is honestly one of my favorites coming, which is the draft system with catch-up. And I'll let you explain it because I know what it is and a lot of other people might, but you can go ahead and explain how this is going to work and why we think it's needed.
Yep. So there's 2 things that this is designed to do. We're certainly not saying that we invented the wheel. We're hopefully just tweaking the wheel to make it roll a little bit better. The first thing that it's designed to do, bring everyone together so that there is a sense of community, a sense of the match being with other people. One of the things that is not good about the game at the moment is it's very isolated. We are adding in some features before these new features go in that'll make it feel a little bit less isolated in terms of giving you a lot of notifications about what your opponents are doing when they level up, when they get a stage 2 unit, a stage 3 unit. Hovering over them will tell you a bit about their composition and all sorts of stuff. These things we want to stay in the game even once all of this stuff is live, because they are quality of life improvements that should be there forever, right? So the opponent panel will be getting significant upgrades, but even if that gets every upgrade under the sun, the game is still going to feel a little bit empty until you and your opponents are able to walk around and talk to each other and flash up emotes and all that sort of stuff. But more important than that, we need to get the whole match, all 8 people, to get together and be able to see each other, see your drone skins, and see your emotes and stuff like that. The second thing is, it is a way for the game to have a light catch-up mechanic, right? If you're losing, doesn't feel particularly good in a lot of these games. If you're lose streaking, yeah, you're getting some credits, but you're also losing health for it. If you're win streaking, you're getting just as many credits, but you're not losing any health for it. So win streaking is definitely the better way to go. We don't want this to be something where you're just forced to lose. So again, when I say a catch-up mechanic, I mean a real light catch-up. But what it allows you to do is there'll be a random selection of units. They'll have components on them. One of the things that's not gone into a heap of detail is exactly the way that the component system will work. But you might want a particular component, or you might want a particular alluvial, and it gives you a chance, because there's a variance there, to get what you want. One of the things that we would desperately want to do is make this catch up feel a bit more fair. So the general idea with it is that based on your health, that will determine the time at which you get released. If 2 people have the same health, it doesn't matter how many of them have the same drone health, you'll all be released simultaneously. If you've got slightly more health than someone else, you'll be released slightly after them. If you've got a heap more health than someone, you'll be released a long time after them. So you get a lot more time to choose what you want. There'll be obviously some fighting, because some of the things out there will be much more desirable than others. If there's a squiz out there, that probably is going to be more desirable than picking up an Atlas. And it's the
So just to clarify again, this is the carousel in TFT, right? If you are low on HP, you have to first pick at items and illuvials, or item components, I guess, augment components and illuvials. But it's a little bit tweaked from the TFT experience.
The person who's coming last in the game that gets the opportunity. The other little thing that we've done to tweak it, again, like I said, we're not reinventing the wheel, we're just slightly tweaking it. The units will always travel towards the south. I know it doesn't show that in the concept art, but that's on me. That's that they'll always travel towards the south, and the player's health will determine where they are, and the players with the lowest health will be towards the south. So it's not a big thing at all, but if you're last, the units will be walking towards you. The interesting part about it is once they disappear through a portal, they'll reappear at the same color portal on the other side. So there is a little bit of, I'm sure there'll be some times where someone is running to get a unit and it'll disappear through the portal. Now it's on the other side, and that allows someone else who's on the other side to pick it up. So there will be a very, very tiny bit of skill involved in this to understand how fast you can walk.
Opa. Sorry, I think I'm doing too many things at the same time. I'm buying a flare. By the way, we're ready to fuse some stuff. So I think at the end of the full AMA, we're going to do a little fuse fest where we try to fuse perfect illuvials, the ones that we are leveling during the AMA in the overworld. So definitely stick here till the end, and that's going to be usually really exciting. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. A little illuvial gamble, as we like to call it.
Or how fast you can hover, really. And that'll help you determine, should I sit at the opening of the portal, or should I go and run and chase it before it gets through the portal? It's a very minor thing. Like I said, we're not tweaking a lot about it, but we hope it'll be fun. And this is something that we designed to fit into our universe a little bit better. It's definitely got much more of a sci-fi vibe to it. It utilizes some of the features that we've got from the overworld, and we think it'll be really
just
cool.
To be clear, so people know what you're talking about, it's going to be alluvials with some type of weapon component or a drone component, or what is that? It'll be an alluvial running around the draft system.
It'll have a component on its head. So A component is something that we haven't talked about. They don't exist in the current version of the game, but they will, and I guess we'll get into that in just a second.
So yeah, the next thing. Also, yeah, just to say, yeah, super excited about that feature. I really like the little portal things, how they're going to be kind of figure eighting around there instead of just going in a circle. So definitely exciting to see that. But yeah, the next thing to move on to is suit augments. So these are the upgrades to your ranger's suit, and yeah, we don't have these currently, so or kind of, I guess, currently in their the armor that we have, but.
So these are basically the equivalent to an alluvial augment, and because we don't want to overload people with lots and lots of choices, we decided for this one we want it to happen just once, right? Just once in the game, you'll get an opportunity to upgrade your suit. This caps off what your
Tales from the Crypt. Thank you very much for the raid. Thank you everybody who is tuning in through the raid. And yeah, we are just watching the AMA with Aaron Warwick, founder and game director of Illuvium, talking about all the changes coming to Gauntlet, our TFT auto battler game. And on the side, I'm also playing the overworld and stuff like this, because I got a little monkey brain who needs to be stimulated.
Ranger is. And when you combine this with the particular weapon that you choose, who you're bonded to, the amplifiers for the weapons that you choose, this can make your ranger incredibly powerful. Now, I mean, some people aren't going to want the ranger to be the carry. They're going to want to make the ranger be much more of a support type or a tank or whatever. All of these options are available, but what it will do is it'll act as like a very strong augment. For those who aren't familiar, an augment is effectively like a passive that goes on top of your character to give them some extra functionality. And they are quite powerful.
It's an item.
You'll get one appear at random, and you can take it if you want, or you can spend a credit and roll again. There will be quite a few of these. They are not unique to any particular suit. They're just all part of a giant pool. So some of them are very, very much focused about making your ranger be more of a brawler. I think in the image that we put in there, we had vampiric plating, which is about giving you a bit of tankiness and lifesteal. That would be perfect if you want to turn your character into a drain tank. You put them on the front line. They're not quite as tanky as some of the other suit amplifiers that you can get, but they make up for that tankiness by recovering a lot of health through lifesteal. And there's a bunch of these that we're putting into the game, quite a few. In fact, it'll be really hard to guarantee that you get the one that you want unless you're willing to spend a decent amount of credits, right? Put it this way: if you spend 50 credits, yeah, you'll probably likely see the one that you want, but spending 50 credits is probably going to be the difference between winning and losing. It's you're definitely making some sacrifices. So what we think will happen is most people will have a set of probably like 3 or 4 different amplifiers in mind that they want to use. And when they see any one of them, they'll take it. That's probably going to be the best play. But make no mistake about it, the choice that you make here will be super important. If you have picked your ranger to be absolute, like massive damage dealer, glass cannon sort of a build, and then you go for extra damage, you're making a choice, right? It could be that that's a really bad choice because maybe you're playing against a bunch of people that have got a bit of, splash damage AoE. And in that case, it could be that your glass cannon shatters 2 seconds into the battle every time. And it might have been the better play to pick up something that gave a little bit of tankiness to the ranger. Or it could be that that's just absolutely brilliant because you found a way to protect your ranger really, really well. And maximum damage is what the doctor ordered. All of these things are going to be super easy to understand. You have a look at it. They're all basic in terms of their effect. None of them have, 13 pages of text to understand. You don't need to go to university to be able to see what they're going to do. But you need to be able to understand the impact that they're going to have, and it will make a huge difference on your ranger and your team as well. They're not going to be things that are like drone augments. Obviously, they're mainly going to be focused on the range themselves because, like we said, we want each of these choices to be something that inhabits a little bit of a different space.
Just to go back a little bit, so this will replace suit armor in general. It'll just be one choice in the game, and this is what that will replace. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Cool. Just so everyone's clear. All right. Well, the next one, I guess I spoke a little bit too soon. I forgot this was in the blog, but yeah, this is a pretty cool one, which is the late game Leviathan combat. And some people have seen the Leviathans. They're massive creatures, that are part of the world. We don't know much about them currently, but yeah, they're going to be coming into the Gauntlet as late game fights.
Yep. For anyone who's asking, I know there's been a few questions about the time.
Sorry. No.
Frame for these. Probably these ones are going to be a bit further down the line for a couple of reasons. Number one, the art team at the moment is largely focused on getting the mobile assets optimized so that we can get mobile out sooner. From that perspective.
All right, I'll stop shopping. I'm just shopping for the Illuvials. I'm gonna stop now, and we're gonna focus on the game, okay? On the town hall and on the game. I got into a little bit of a shopping spree right here, trying to buy some dashes.
It's better for them to be working on that because mobile is going to be a bigger impact than changing the PvE rounds that we have. And secondly, the PvE rounds are something that we can put in placeholders. And they're not going to do too much to the game. So these will be a little bit later, but they're going to be super fun. I know that I put in there Leviathan combat, but there's other things that we're putting in there as well, right? There are going to be a large number of PvE encounters that people play with a large amount of variety. And obviously, I don't want to give too much away about the MMO, but the point is that they will be from the world. They'll be from the MMO, and you'll start to see the world come to life. And obviously the MMO is where a lot of that is going to be, but this is just a cool way for us to tie it into the rest of the world. As far as what they do, the main thing that they do is instead of just dropping a straight augment or something like that, there'll be a variety of loot that these things drop to you. Everything from item components, which I think we can go into in a sec, all the way through to unit crates. So, I mean, we haven't actually named them yet. They might be unit orbs or something like that, but it could be that one of these drops, say, a random, tier 2, stage 2 character, and it'll just sit on your bench until you sell it. And when you sell it, something random will pop up. It could even be, if we want to give a little bit more agency to the player, it might be a choice that pops up, very similar to the way that legendary augments will work. But we think that this will be a cool way for the player to build strong teams, because they'll merge together. If you get 3 stage 1 tier 5 orbs, then they'll merge together into a stage 2 version of it, so that then when you open it, instead of it just being you get 3 random units, you'll be guaranteed to get a stage 2 unit then, and that can be really, really powerful. So we think it'll be really cool, and it'll break up the game. They're not meant to be like the same as a normal round, but we do want the later ones to be incredibly hard, to the point where we definitely want to test some of the later ones being so hard that you're just always going to lose. And it comes down to, or at least you'll almost always lose. And the amount of loot that you get out of it will come down to like how long you can stay alive, how much.
That's such cool mechanics, right? Because it's so boring if you have like those PvE rounds, which are just automatically a win and there's no challenge, nothing to it. This is the main problem that we have faced with Overworld, I think, where we designed it in a way it is not punishing at all. A 5-year-old can play it and not lose money by making a million mistakes in an overworld run. So, hyperbolic. So that thing was a major issue in the overworld, that we tried to make it zero punishing. So I like that those PvE rounds can actually be punishing in the late game in Gauntlet. Great idea.
Much damage you can do to it, so on and so forth. Again, we have to test it out with you guys. You guys might not like the idea that there's something that is most of the time going to beat you, but I think it's definitely a pretty fun way for the game to go ahead, because sometimes there's a composition that will do really well against other people, but it probably won't go so well against particular Leviathan, and that can add a little bit of randomness to the game as well. So I hope you guys like it. I would love to test it, but at the end of the day, if people want things to be easier, and that's the overwhelming sort of way that people look at it. And when I say easier, I don't mean simpler. I just mean like the fights are not as tough.
Yeah,
Then
you
we
could always
do
just
that as
use
well.
the test frog as well until Leviathans are ready to come in, you know.
Oh, test frogs in the game,
Yeah.
I guarantee you. Right. I have already written that down. There will definitely be some Easter eggs. We haven't had much time to do Easter eggs in the past. It's time for some Easter eggs to come back. There's
Yeah.
there's going to be some fun stuff.
Well, so like you were saying, the next thing that you're gonna explain about is the itemization, meaning, you know, the components and how that's all gonna work. So yeah, we'll let you just go into that one.
Yep. Yeah. So what we wanted to do is find a bit of a balance. One of the really cool things about TFT, and again, I got to give them props that they're an amazing team with amazing designers, is compared to other auto battlers out there, their itemization I think is quite cool, right? Dota Underlords is obviously a lot more simple, and I don't particularly like it. So we wanted to push for something that was similar to TFT, but at the same time, one of the tough things for new people in TFT is there's something like 64 different combinations of the item components, and when you get two components, you combine them together, and that makes an item, and it's always the same. So the two things that we're looking to improve upon.
Don't reinvent the wheel. Items are. I don't think they need improvement. That wheel is really round. It doesn't need to roll any smoother, I think.
And again, it's subjective whether or not they actually improve.
It scares
we think that they will, but other people may disagree. We didn't want it to be the case that it was so easy to get best augments for your Illuvials. So if we...
To be fair, in TFT, it isn't that easy, right? At least not maybe for the early game, maybe for casual players, but high-level players, high elo players, you always have to make a trade-off, because if you're waiting for the perfect one, you'll have to wait a little bit till a late game, and you lose power level on the board because you're having unused items waiting there to be combined to make the perfect items. So at a certain point of elo in TFT, it's never like 3 perfect items. Even if you can always get them in the late game, you had to make sacrifices in the early and mid game by not being able to slam augments, they say it, right? So for example, if you go for a win streak, you're just never gonna get the perfect items. You're always just gonna slam your items. You're gonna combine whatever you can combine to get the most power onto the board right now. So yeah, I kind of like that system a lot, to be honest.
We went with that same idea where there's these components, then across the game with all the different drops that you get, you would be able to pick 1 or 2 of your units and get the best in slot every time. TFT's way around this is really just to say pros understand that it's better to slam something early, don't lose health, and go with items that are a bit crappy and be strong earlier, rather than holding off for a long time and waiting until you've got absolute...
Right, I should have waited for him to say it. But it's not always better either, right? It just depends on your strategy.
Absolutely the best in slot. It tends to be a little bit of a noob trap to have people look up on a website and say, okay, for this Illuvial, I'm supposed to have exactly this. And we don't want to get into that situation. So the way around it is not to have what we have now, which is just that you get augments and that's it. We want that's not enough choice. So we're looking to find that middle ground between having a heap of choice and getting sort of stuck in a noob trap and having very little choice. What will happen is, just like the legendary augment crates, you'll combine 2 things together and it will instantly create and then effectively sell a crate. There's just a few types of item components in the game. So there's one for attack, there's one for defense, one for utility, and one for Omega. They're just going to be color-coded. And then when you combine them together, depending on the combination that you combine together, you will get a subset of the augments in the game. So the augments are getting categorized based on whether or not they are attack, Omega, hybrid, brawler, etc., etc. There's a few different combinations there. So keeping roughly the same amount of augments in the game, but instead of it just being every once in a while you just get to pick one and it's fairly random what you get, you'll be able to tailor it down to the level of, I want something that is going to affect my attack, something that would be good for a fighter or a rogue, or you might want something that's going to be really good for utility, and you might put that onto a bulwark. whatever suits your team. But you won't be able to pick the perfect augment for that character, because there's probably going to be about 10 per category, and you'll get a choice of 3. So you're not going to get the exact one that you want every time, but you will get something equivalent that allows you to improve your attacks. That's what we feel is a good hybrid position. It's in the middle. It gives you some agency, but it also forces you to adapt a little bit as well. And we think it's going to be a pretty cool system that will, really enhance the game. And then, as I said, there'll be other drops in there. Leviathan, battles are going to drop some really cool loot. It could be that they drop a bunch of credits. It could be that, like I said, they drop units. Leviathan have to eat something after all. And yeah, so with all those different items, I think it'll add a lot more variety.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I hope for not too long. There was a train going through my garden. Yeah, basically I was ranting that we don't need to reinvent the wheel for items. I think it does. It's not a huge impact, because you combine 2 attack augments, it's still or components, it's still gonna be an attack offensive augment. It's just maybe not exactly what you want. So there's some randomness in it. I feel like it almost seems like they're forcing to reinvent all the wheels, so nobody can call them a TFT copycat, where, for example, the item system, I think you could just more or less copy it and other things. But yeah, I don't think it's a big deal if they tweak it a little bit. I'm actually going to ask this in the AMA if he feels like that sometimes he's forced to tweak and reinvent the wheel, even though it's already really good, just to not, straight up copy features.
To the game,
which is a common practice in game development, so I don't think it would be a problem. Maybe it's more just trying to be nice and not try to copy it, like Riot loves to do, just copy shit. That's their success story.
Without getting it so stale that every single game, every Ramfire is going to have the same 2 augments on it every time. That doesn't interest us. We want you to have to make some tough choices, but we don't want you to feel like, I need to get something for Ramfire, and then what pops out are like 3 utility items, and you go, well, what the hell is that, right? Like that would be quite harsh. So you'll get something that fits, but it might not be the absolute best for your particular alluvial, and that might make you want to pivot a little bit. It could make you choose who you put it on. It could be that
it might want to make you deinstall the game as well, though. It could be very frustrating, because if you attack, I don't know, if you're trying to get something for Ramfire and you combine 2 Omega augments and you get something that you cannot really use on a Ramfire, like that sounds very frustrating, where, yeah, you don't want to tilt again into the too much RNG, not enough agency thing, where we have already a lot of randomness with all the things that we introduce. So I don't know if it's really needed with items, but we'll see. And we've seen with Illuvium, they are humble enough to recognize the mistakes, listen to the community feedback, and if it is bad, it's going to be changed. So it's not a big deal, I think.
The carry that you thought you were going to use in the game, maybe was going to be, a tier 3 unit that you could, quickly, level up to stage 3, and that causes you to pivot because maybe you've now got an item that is going to be really good on one of the, tier 5 characters in the game. So then you change up and you level up a bit quicker and start looking for that unit instead. Good players will, take advantage of this, and new players won't be confused at all, because you'll get something that works for the character that you want to put it on, and you won't fall into that noob trap where you put something that is just totally
I mean,
worth it.
one of the best things I think TFT did was, well, like their weapon system or component system was so confusing to me when I first started playing it, because they didn't have like those little tooltips, like, oh, if you combine these 2 things, you're going to get this. And once they fixed that, it made the game much more enjoyable for me. But for what you're saying, ours is going to be even simpler than that, in the fact that you'll only have a few options to combine those things into. and then that affects your next throne decision.
Yeah. There's not going to be that many, and they'll be themed. So if you want something, if you know that you want to be having really powerful omegas or casting them frequently, etc., then just combine 2 blues together, and an option will pop up with. I think we're going to have 4 in there, but it could be 3. I don't know. But yeah, you'll have 4 things that pop up that will enhance your omegas. And so it might not be the exact one that you want for your exact composition, but if doing a lot or powerful omegas is your thing, then you'll get something for that. So it should be a lot more understandable. You won't need to memorize quite as much if you're a new player. But at the same time, there's all the same stuff in there for the pros, and even more so the pros will have to understand how to navigate that space a bit better, because like I said, you won't be able to just auto get best in slot every time.
Just one question I think is kind of relevant while we're talking about this. Will the benching to remove augments stay, or do is that planned to stay, or will we get some sort of magnetic remover instead?
I don't like the idea of having an item that you have to use on them to take it off. I think it's better to have that in the UI so that it's a lot easier, but it'll have the effect of a...
All right, so you get magnetic removers, really important. To not have items stuck on the wrong unit, feels really, really bad. Someone in chat here is saying it's funny how we try to become TFT, and TFT is the best Adler game for now, but it's still way less popular than Dota, LoL. Well, with Dota, I'm not sure. Probably, yeah, Dota has a really hardcore following. League of Legends, Counter-Strike, etc. There's no real big game in auto battlers. It is also the biggest strategy game right now, right? And I think even though it's not strategy games is not the biggest niche in gaming, obviously shooters is the biggest niche in gaming. I think it's still a huge market, right? We have all the old people, all the people who can't aim for shit. No, but we have so many people, all the card players, all the auto battlers. Like, there is a lot of people playing it. You could argue it is the most successful strategy game just because of the IP of Riot, of League of Legends, because there was so much trickling over, so much community coming over just from League into TFT. But I think they are now TFT enthusiasts, auto battler enthusiasts, and yeah, I mean, they have millions of players. And even though, I don't know the numbers, but let's say TFT has 10 million players and Counter-Strike has 100 million players, it's still pretty cool to capitalize on a 10 million player market, right? We don't have to shoot for the shooter. We should shoot for the shooter sooner or later, right? Like, there is no excuse if we don't make a shooter as our next game. And I'm totally on board with that we should capitalize on the biggest gaming market when we do our next game, which will be a shooter, like a Fortnite-style Battle Royale game. And we have all the mechanics already in the game, right? Just slap 10 rangers in this map and let them battle it out. Like, it's already there. It's going to be super easy to build. And I think even in the back of the mind of the team, this is like a last resort. If everything fails, we're just going to slap out a quick Fortnite and see how that goes. But yeah, I think this is a obvious choice for our next game. But right now we're locked in. Strategy games have a good market. We are on the way of becoming a pretty decent TFT version of TFT, which has a lot of unique selling propositions like the Ranger, Affinities, Hyper. We have a smaller audience, so you can be, instead of Platinum, you can be Diamond. You can get rewards. You can actually earn some money when, as a Platinum player, as a Diamond player. Like, there's a lot of unique selling propositions. You actually have ownership, like a whole Pokemon overworld, open world game is tied to TFT, which is insane, I think, to just have Pokemon tied to TFT. That sounds like a dream for me. And yeah, I think Web 2 just has to wake up and they will adapt and will come into our ecosystem. I think we have the perfect game. That's why I'm still here, right? Like, I'm obviously heavily invested. This is my job, this is my passions. But the whole reason I've been here for 4 years now? It's definitely 3 years that I've been 24/7 in Illuvium with pretty much all of my online life, is because I love the game and I love the idea of the game, of it being a Pokemon auto battler, like just combining my favorite game. So yeah, I totally get it, and a lot of people are not into auto battlers, but it is a huge market, and we got something good going on, and I think yeah, shooter would be the next step
of a magnetic remover. So like for example, the reason why it exists in TFT is because you can't just pop things off by default. So like there's no way for them to have put that into a user interface where it would be a lot more intuitive and simple. Instead, it has to be an item because it's not the normal thing. Right. And so even in modes where it is the normal thing, you know, they can't just go and change the whole user interface. So that's why they have such a thing as the magnetic remover. Assuming that we're going to keep that ability for you to adjust exactly as you want, there's no need for us to make something more complicated than what it has to be. So the user interface should be very, very simple.
Yeah. I like being able to just bench and quickly swap, you know, because I often make mistakes. So
yeah, I mean, it could be that we just allow you to just drag and drop straight off of the UI showing the augments. We're still going through some details about quality of life, but at the end of the day, if we end up with this, the reason why we haven't put a lot of focus into it is because we want to make sure that we don't want to punish you for slamming things early. That might end up being a bad decision, but once we've gotten...
Yeah, because that's like this one I still don't understand, because that's the whole thing, like the trade-off. Like I think that's a really cool skill expression where you either slam items early, get some power level, focus on that win streak, and then you're kind of screwed later on, or you sacrifice some power, some health to get the perfect augments later on, or the perfect item. I don't know if it's a good idea to drop that, but
enough
yeah, not
testing.
a big deal.
If people really love the idea of that configurability, which so far it seems to be the case, once we know 100% that that's going to be like a staple of our game that separates it, we'll make sure that we have the simplest interface so that it's not at all complicated. A new person to the game should be absolutely dead set, like it should be obvious what to do. And I think probably the most obvious thing is just you can either click on it or drag it straight off of the unit and put it onto something else. That's probably the easiest way to go. If anyone else has any other suggestions, we're open to it. But at the same time, benching it might also pop it off so that there's a few different ways of doing the same thing.
all right, we got a few more to go through here, and then we have answered a lot of the questions. There's a few I don't think we have, but the next one is this team planner, and I'm not exactly sure how this is all going to work. You know, I get the basic idea, but I think a good explanation of how this is going to be integrated would be...
Have you played with it internally
yet? No.
Okay, it's live now internally, so you can give it a shot. Yeah. So this is an interesting one. I remember speaking to Kieran about this. One of the things that we had always planned was to have a team planner in the game. And I think one of the issues that people have had with the way that suits and weapons are in the game is because they don't have this team planner. If we had launched the team planner before that, I think that it would have been received a lot better. Now, that doesn't mean that I think that it's the best way to go forward. I think what we're doing is definitely better, but this is a massive quality of life improvement. The main point of this is at any given time in the game, you can effectively tell the user interface, notify me when I get the right units. So you open up a panel and you pop in the units that you think would fit for your team. And then as you're refreshing your shop, you'll get a big icon that says, "Oi, this is one of the one that's on your team composition. You should buy it." It is a huge upgrade. The funniest thing is I was speaking to Kieran about this and saying it's going to be really cool. And he's like, "What is it?" And I thought everybody knew about it, but he was like, "Oh my God, that is going to be such an improvement," because he'd never used anything like it. I spend a lot of my time in the team planner adjusting the composition. It has a few features. Like I said, the main thing is you pop the units into it, and then it will notify you as you roll in the shop, "Hey, you should probably buy this." So it makes it way faster to pick your units. But
I like those things that he's mentioning where it's kind of a built-in tutorial into the just gameplay features, where it's like, hey, you might want to do this. Like, it doesn't help an experienced person, they're already doing it, but a beginner will love that shit.
It does a few other things for you as well. It will tell you, if you get all of these units, this is what your synergies will look like. We obviously will need to do some upgrades to add in the Ranger and a few other bits and pieces as we go, the bonds, blah, blah, blah. But at least for the moment, it's going to give you a rough idea of what your composition is going to be. How are you going to get, 4 Revenant or whatever it happens to be. So you just build your team inside of there, and then as you're playing through the game, it'll notify you when you need to buy those units. It's not making it more likely that they appear in the shop or anything like that, but it does allow you to see what is available a lot more
Makes it more likely that
the
you don't
second
miss
thing
them.
that it does, and this will be a huge quality of life for us, this doesn't affect games that aren't, I guess, NFT based or anything like that, is it will allow you to select which instance of the characters that you have, the Illuvials.
Oof, that's so good. So if I have a level, because right now the highest level is going to be chosen for the one in Gauntlet, but sometimes I have, like, my perfect Sat Illuvial might not be the highest level, and I want to choose the perfect Sat Illuvials because, it might be stronger. I want to get experience on this one, so this is a great idea.
So that you know which one is going to level up and which one you're playing in Leviathan, right? You might have 6 Atlases, and we allow you to pick the one that you want to level up and the one that you want to use its traits from. So
That's cool.
instead of it, like at the moment, there's an algorithm that just basically picks the highest TPI. That will no longer be the case. I mean, it's a pretty good approximation of it, but you might not want to use that one because maybe you're just playing the game to level things up. Right? It might be that you're trying to just level them up for whatever reason. Obviously, leveling up is going to be a lot more important in the overworld or in any other games we build, and this will allow you to configure that. So for some people that don't have any ownership, you won't even see it. It won't give you the option to select those things. But if it notices that you actually do own Illuvials, then it'll notify you that you can pick the particular instance. Again, an instance is just one NFT versus one type. And it'll allow you to configure all of those things. Because it's happening in-game, you're much more engaged with the game while you're doing it. It's not like the team planner was for Ascendant, where it gets a little bit boring because you're sitting there doing it without playing the game. In this, what you're really trying to do is to theory craft as the match goes on. The best way to use it is not to just say, this is the team comp that I want. It's to say, okay, this is what I have been given across the match. These are the choices that I made, the drone augments, this is who I think I'm bonding, blah, blah, blah. And then you might tweak it. And in other games, that doesn't really work because the synergy system in a lot of the other games is very binary, right? There's just affinities and classes, and there's a lot of time not much overlap between them. And so there are very clear comps that you want to play, right? And at the moment in our game, there are some comps that you want to play.
Yeah, we have the fire rogues. We have the water kind of empath scions, stuff like this, right? The nature fighters and all of that.
But in general, there's a lot more in our game because they merge together so much because there's the primary and the composite. There's way more options that are very close to the strength of other comps. And because of that, you can really say, okay, well, I got a lot of this unit. It appeared in my shop. Yes, it's not in my ideal composition, but it's within 1%, and I got this unit, so it's actually much, much more important for me to play this. So for a pro player, the expectation is that they'll be able to pivot and adjust the comp a lot more than they will in other games. And if you talk to people, even at high level players in other games, there are very strict, like 5 or 6 comps that are good to play, and everything else is, go eighth. For us, there should be hundreds of comps that are all reasonably similar in power.
I don't believe that yet, but I hope it's going to be true because right now we have been struggling to get more than, well, it's actually not that bad. What we had like rogues, right? There's not much variance in rogues. It's just rogues. Then we have like water. And we now have fire as well. We have the fighters, which is just around Verdant, really. Maybe Arcanite with fighters. And we have invokers, I guess, like classic Scion invokers with bulwarks or with empath clump. So that's 7. Maybe let's be generous and call it 10 compositions that we can play right now. Which is not bad, to be honest. But still way less than you can play in TFT, feels like. Like far less. But the game is not finished yet, right? I still want to give Aaron the benefit of the doubt here and believe that we can get to somewhere where actually every composite synergy is going to be a different composition. We see that more lately with the last patches. Like, for example, you play around Tempest, where you play, like, usually we played more or around Wildfire. There's 4 Wildfire. So there is a bunch of compositions. Actually, the more I think about it, I can see it happen.
Power, at least enough so that the randomness of your shop should determine what you should go for. It should never be the case that someone playing our game at a high level is just donkey rolling because they know this is the best composition and they're just waiting for it. And if they get unlucky, they just go, well, I'm screwed and I'm going 8th. Something is going to appear in your shop and you should be able to, pivot to what the game gave you.
Yeah. People are hating on me because I keep beating them with the same comp, but all they have to do is use my comp if it's so good, right?
Or pick something that's going to beat it hyperwise. But I mean, the reason why some comps are stronger than others at the moment is because at the moment we're doing some balancing, but you got to remember that, like, internally we're playing a very different version of the game than you guys. So there's there wasn't as much time put into the balancing. There's other things that we didn't talk about in the blog that we're doing to improve the balancing even further. So the expectation is within a couple of months, there'll be lots of compositions that are viable, and it'll totally depend on what the game has thrown you. And it'll be your job to say, okay, game, you gave me this. This is my best way of dealing with what you gave me.
Obviously, like I said, I haven't tried it yet, but is the plan for this to only be once you're in the match, or like maybe while you're queuing, or you're on the web, or just in the match?
Oh yeah, we'll have it available offline as well eventually. At the moment, it's just in game, but we do want to have it everywhere. I believe that we're working on the online version now, but I've been so focused on the game side of Arena that I haven't focused enough on the onboarding side. But if not, it'll definitely be there reasonably soon. But the point is that it's not, for our game, it's not that beneficial to be mucking around with it outside. Yes, you can save comps, you can do all sorts of things, you can name them and so on and so forth, and put them in order. And then when you go into the game, you'll have a bunch of comps that you can choose between that you might want to play. I don't think that that's particularly interesting because, as I said, the ideal comp for you is probably going to change every game based on what's coming up in the shop. If you manage to find a bunch of fiery at the early levels of the game, and you are planning on going some completely other comp, you should probably pivot and pick what you've got. At least that's what the top players will do. But for the noobs like myself, you'll get comps that you really love, and you'll just play what you enjoy, and that's totally fine too.
All right, moving on to one of.
It's fun. Hey, I would like something like Hearthstone Battlegrounds, where you can ban classes and infinities, for example. Yeah, I can see that happen. Like, banning stuff is always a great way to just have like foolproof balancing, right? Like, if any composition is like super overpowered, well, it's going to be banned all the time. It might be hard to implement, though, in an 8-player auto battler where, yeah, you have 8 players banning stuff, or you just vote on what to ban, and then maybe, like, if you ban 5 different things, there's a lot of stuff gonna be gone. But yeah, in the long run, maybe just voting on one thing that can be banned, kind of what we do now at the moment in tournaments, where we just ask the community, is there anything that is broken that you don't want to play or don't want to see in the tournament? And usually, like, the collective can come to an agreement. I like that.
These last subjects on here, at least, and this kind of ties into a few things, which is match scouting. So yeah, this ties into multiplayer, and there's questions around multiplayer. I don't know how in depth you want to go into that, but yeah, match scouting and what that is. I know some people know.
Yeah. I'll just touch on it really briefly. There's probably not many people that want to think too hard about the internals of our engine, but we're overhauling the engine so that this is possible. At the moment, like I said, the only scouting that you can do is via notifications in your opponent drone health panel, and on live there's really nothing much there. There's a lot more on our internal builds that is going out soon to make scouting a bit better. But really, you want to be able to go and watch other matches. You want to be able to walk onto someone, or hover onto someone else's board and annoy them, and talk with people and stuff like that. So in addition to all the enhancements that we're doing, so that while you're looking at your own board, you're still informed of what's going on in the match, you should be able to look at everybody else's match. By updating the engine, this is one of the major things that we get effectively for free that would have been very hard to do with the other way that we were building the game. It has taken a bit of time to get this done, and it was a tough decision because obviously it's a lot of resources towards doing something that it's fairly minor in terms of the features or at least the mechanics of the game, but it's huge in terms of the feel. So we just have to do it.
And I mean, I guess you probably don't want to comment on how far out multiplayer looks right now. Like, do you? I didn't hear you mention it, but if you do want.
Yeah. So a few of the questions have come about the timeline. Like I said, these will definitely be staggered updates. The first big update will come with some features, because remember, there's one group of the team that are working on the overhaul of the engine. They're very far into that. The expectation is that will drop in March, so we're not too far away from that. But at the same time, like I said, there's people working on the team planner. The team planner is already live internally, so that'll be pretty soon. There are other features that are coming out before the upgrade to...
Yeah, so this is 4 days ago, and actually the team player is already on the testnet. You can jump into it. If you had private beta access in the past, you will have testnet access right now. You can download it also with Epic Games. It's going to be a grayed out logo, like the Illuvium, just grayed out. And yeah, you can test it, and if you find bugs, report them, you get rewarded for it. There's like a bug hunter initiative right now.
To multiplayer, because like I said, there's other people working on those features. But there'll be a decent amount of features that come out with that. I mean, the game is already multiplayer now, so when we say multiplayer, we're not saying like it's a single player game and this will be multiplayer. We're talking about the engine overhaul to make a lot of those things work a lot better. So the first big update will be in March, and it will have the ability to move around, watch other matches and stuff like that, plus a couple of the features. Probably the main one will be regions, which we think is the sort of update that is not going to impact so much the other ones. It doesn't require them, so it should just be a fun, valid and really cool update to the game. And then the month after, there'll be probably the bulk of the changes done, and by May we should be at the point where we're just polishing off everything and getting it right. The timelines, we're definitely getting a lot better at knowing what's going on with it, because the whole team is focused on this, so there's less chances of being, big curveballs thrown to us and stuff like that. We don't know to the day or anything like that, but that's the expectation for the next 3 big updates is the main engine overhaul with 1 or 2 features, then most of the other features, and then the final month after that will be mostly polish and possibly 1 more feature to go in. It could be that we get all of them in one go. If they're ready, then we'll release them, and the only other question is, will we put them onto test service first? I'd really like to bypass it, because at the moment I'd like to think that the whole community is just testing these things, and we don't want to gate it to be people that have to open up a different version of the game. And probably testnet will be something that we start to use a lot more once all the features are in and we've got the player base up to a healthy level. At that point, we'll probably then give the diehards access to testnet, and they can see the features before everyone else does. But for now, we don't see a lot of reason to do that, unless we think that there's going to be a bunch of bugs. But I mean, we wouldn't release it to you if we think that there's going to be a lot of bugs. That's something that we have definitely gotten a lot better at in the last couple of months. So you'll see the quality of each release should go up exponentially, and you shouldn't have those same teething issues that you had in the past, which obviously we apologize for.
Okay, well, I mean, we've covered pretty much the entire blog. Like I said, if you guys want to read that blog, it's in our news section. One thing that I know there was a few questions about is the actual Leviathan mode. So I guess from leveling alluvials, like how important are leveling alluvials going to be in the future, or how do you even see Leviathan mode playing out in the future?
One of the things that we're looking at the moment, and this is really going to come down to quality of life, understanding the game, et cetera, is while it's definitely a good idea, or at least in theory, it's cool to be able to say that the power of your alluvials is going to come from both leveling and their traits. We do need to do a bit of testing and see if that's too complicated for people. If it turns out that it's too complicated for people, then we'd probably remove leveling as a power thing, and instead it would just be a bonus for people playing Arena to give something extra power in the other parts of the game. I don't like that, but at the same time, I tend to always be on the side of maybe a bit more complexity and a little bit more nuance between things, and I'm often wrong, and that the community prefers something to be much more simple. So we'll have to look at feedback on that and see whether or not we just make.
How are you gonna get honest feedback? You're gonna ask that question, there's gonna be 10 people who power level the Illuvials, who have all level 60 ready. They're gonna scream murder, be the loudest in the Discord, and then everybody else is gonna be intimidated and not say anything. Like, that has been the main problem in Illuvium with getting good feedback, and just the main problem with the community in Illuvium in general has been that there is 10 different ways that you can be holding Illuvium assets. It's either land, or it's Illuvitars, or it's max level stats, or it's just ownership Illuvial. And all of these different demographics have different opinions, and they have different ways, or different features will give them either increase their bags, or be beneficial for them, or be not so good for them. And many times in game development, you actually have to make decisions where you nerf stuff, where you're gonna you make decisions to make the game better, and sometimes asset owners will be burned. And how this has looked in the last few months is every time a game feature would have improved the game, or will improve the game, the corresponding holders of that NFT who would have had a profit or a value loss just screamed in Discord and made the life really hard for anybody else, and especially the Illuvium Labs team. And I think this is the main problem, the main issue we have. Everybody is invested in all of it, so anytime they try to change something for the better of the project, everybody freaks out. And yeah, but it seems like Illuvium Labs, by now they're like, well, there is no other option. Sorry, we have to burn you guys to make a better game. It's gonna help you in the long run, because if we succeed as a game as a whole, everybody's gonna succeed. But yeah, they're just pushing for it, and I really like that. And I wish we would have started earlier, but better late than never.
If traits became the only thing, then obviously one of the advantages of that is when looking at Illuvials to bring into the Leviathan mode, you just need to look at the traits, and that's it. It might be that people much prefer to keep leveling in there, and if so, then we'll keep it. But it's not set in stone. Is the point? We do need to have a little bit of more testing on that. As far as like Leviathan in general, one of the other the things we're, I guess, debating at the moment is how much of the Leviathan version of the game do we want to be in the vanilla version of the game. So for example, one of the advantages with Leviathan is if you own an Illuvial, you'll see it with a finish. You'll either see it as a shiny finish if you own it, or a hollow or a dark hollow if you have those. And again, the team planner will allow you to select that one. So if you want to see that dark hollow one, even if it's got slightly lower traits than your hollow version of it, you can do that just to flex and show that you have it. But that is something that I think will be really cool and will differentiate us from other games. It'll mean that cosmetically you can show that you've got some really cool stuff. Whether or not we put that into the vanilla version is a big question. I'm pushing for it. I know that there's other people that are not, because they want to keep it simple, and that if a new person to the game,
please do it. We need ownership to matter. At least ownership of hollow stuff and dark hollow. Hollow is pretty much floor price with non-hollow. If it's at least the skin version of the Illuvial you play also in the free-to-play Gauntlet version, that's gonna give a lot of use case, a lot of utility to just owning hollow Illuvials, which is a step in the right direction, I think. It doesn't make it more simpler if you don't do it. It just hides the fact that we have ownership, which we shouldn't be hiding. We should be proud of our NFTs, that we have ownership, that we have a full Pokemon open world futuristic game where you actually own everything you capture. Like, this is a huge thing. We shouldn't throw like all the crypto wallet Web3 stuff in their faces, but all the upsides and the features of the blockchain technology that we're using, we should embrace that, I think.
Comes in and they see Ramfire, and then someone else has a Ramfire, but it's a different color. It might impact them and say, like, is it different from a power perspective?
Everybody understands holo though, but yeah, you just gotta make clear they understand, hey, this guy has no actual advantage over me. It's just cosmetic.
When it's not, and that could be a little bit confusing. And it could also be like, hey, why does that person have that? I think it's a good way to get people into the crypto side of the ecosystem, because they'll have to ask, like, you know, hey, how did you get that?
Or just into overworld.
Could say, I bought it on the exchange, or I captured it in the overworld, blah, blah, blah. But we're not sure what's the best option to go with there. For now, we're keeping the vanilla version very, very much separated. But
yeah,
who knows?
I mean, I will say I'm for it totally. Like we played Leviathan last week and this week some, and I did miss seeing, you know, the dark hollows and the hollows. So I think it is. Yeah,
well,
no,
I mean, in Leviathan, it's always it's going to be there.
It's like you forget that you have them, you know. And then once we played some Leviathan, it was like, okay, now I see Foxbeard, like these other guys that have tons of dark hollows, you know, like Winnie and Foxbeard, all these guys. So.
We'll get a lot of play testing, but the first thing is that we're going to have a major marketing campaign for once we get the vanilla version into a really good state. Once Gauntlet is played by you guys and you're loving it, we're going to bring on a lot more players to test it out. And if you guys are loving it, then we believe that these new players will love it too. And we're hoping that that can sort of bootstrap the player base and move it up and up and up. And then from there, we'll have a lot more data to test out whether or not we should, you know, bring some of those features over to the vanilla version. Obviously, there's never going to be anything in the vanilla version of the game that gives you more power for owning something, because that's the whole point of it. It shouldn't be pay to win. But at the same time, cosmetics are not pay to win.
Or are we calling it vanilla? It's free to play, right? It's way clearer. Just call it free to play. That's what it is. That's the whole point. Free to play means no pay to win.
It just comes down to, does it add more confusion to the game, or does it allow a bit more expression and people enjoy it? We'll have to see.
All right. I mean, I think there's one other question. This one's from Sporiox. I think everything else has pretty much been covered through mostly everything we talked about, at least that I can see. At least Gauntlet and Arena related. How about Sporiox asked, you know, like, how will you get, you know, how will Gauntlet remain exciting? Like, will we do seasonal changes to, you know, the regions, the drone augments, Leviathans, and then also even alluvial sets, you know?
Yeah, so obviously the main one is alluvial sets. It was always the case that we were going to spend a lot longer on the first set than all the others, because once you commit to a set, you know, it's a crypto-based game. That once they're out there, and we need to make sure that they're really balanced. Even in the first set, you know, with all the changes that we've made between Ascendant and Gauntlet, it's definitely the case that we need to patch some holes in the game and adjust some things to make it a bit better from a perspective of the alluvials that we have. So the major one is obviously going to be a lot faster updates for the alluvial sets. Remember, these sets are not going to have all completely new ones. Remember, we went absolutely nuts making 206 alluvials that are all like very different from each other, all sorts of different animations and skeletal systems, and it was insane, and we probably shouldn't have done it, but we did. The next sets will be a lot more modest so that we can get it out to you a lot faster. So you'll see variations on alluvials, and they will be much quicker for us to build because it'll be mostly the game design team adjusting them, rather than rather than it being something that, you know, the artists have to go through and make a whole new creature. There obviously will be new creatures. It's not going to be 206, I can tell you that. That's one of the major ways that we're going to differentiate it. There will be other features that we add to the game. Like I said, if something that we do proves to be super popular and it's like a choice in the game or a randomness that comes up, it could be that later on that becomes part of the staple of the game. So the best example would be, let's say we give you a legendary augment crate at the start of the game as part of one of the regions, and then everyone starts voting on that and says, we just love that. Everybody needs to start with a legendary. It might be that we end up just incorporating that. That just becomes the default nature of the game. That will...
About this, we talked about this earlier, right? I think I didn't mention that Holo had a good point where you got to make sure they don't all pick this feature because the other ones suck. Yeah, you gotta make sure the other ones are good options, but this one is just everybody's loving it. That's why we gotta implement it. Because oftentimes it's like, I don't want to play any of this, and this is like the the smallest evil kind of thing.
It'll obviously change and it'll evolve over time. There's going to be season passes, battle passes, that sort of thing that entice people to get particular, unique cosmetics and stuff like that. There's a lot of those things that we're planning that we couldn't before because we had a smaller team working on Arena. Now we've got a lot of people working on it, so we can get a lot of stuff done. And then, like I said, even though it'll go into more of a maintenance mode, they'll still be working on balance. There'll still be people working on new features and stuff like that. We do work fast. It's just that, we have made some mistakes in terms of the way we tooled the engine from the beginning. And once we get out of that sort of rut, things will move a lot faster, even if we have a smaller team, that I can assure you.
And no question from my end that everyone works insanely hard here, crazy hours people put in. So, but yeah, shout out
they
to them,
definitely do.
But yeah, I think that covers everything that we wanted to here, at least. And as I said, this was an arena-focused, town hall, and we will have another one soon with Kieran, and we'll answer some other things based on MMO and all your other questions there. You have any final?
Yep.
Sorry, I have to talk about the fight. 50k healing. That's the problem if you don't bring rogues in a Leviathan mode, and earlier we lost to not being able to kill the Scoriox. This time the Adorius just out-healed us. Anyway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool things happening in the background. I can't talk about it right now, but I think that you guys are going to be pretty excited.
Maybe you can talk about it this Friday.
The things we're doing for the MMO, right? It's
I think he's mentioned.
It's definitely more of a long-term vision. It's not something that's going to pop up tomorrow, but we've already shown. I don't know how it's leaked or whether or not it was something on purpose, but you've already seen some of the combat, some of the internal prototyping that we've done. We have some really fun stuff that's all going to be incorporated into this MMO. I mean, we're definitely calling it an MMO light because, make no mistake about it, we're not recreating World of Warcraft in a year. That's insane. But we will have something that'll make everyone sort of see what it is that we can do. And we've learned a lot over the last 3 years in terms of how we work, how our team works. All of that goes together to just make us more efficient, right? I wish that from the beginning we hadn't made any mistakes, but the fact of the matter is that I did, and there's no going back from that. But what we can do is make sure to not make those mistakes in the future and come up with better processes and things like that. So one of those things is to not spread ourselves too thin. And that's why I say we're going to get Arena to a really good state. It'll go into a bit of a maintenance mode until we can get a large player base. Once it's self-sustaining, we'll get a much larger team to be working on it, and their entire job will be to just work on Arena. But while we have a smaller team, their entire job will be working on the MMO, and by everybody focused on one particular thing, we'll move a lot faster than we have in the past.
I'm looking forward to it, definitely. But yeah, so I guess we'll wrap it up there. Aaron, I appreciate you doing this, and I know everybody else does. They some people were worried you disappeared, even though I hear from you or see you often. So I assured them you weren't, and here you are. So good to have you here.
For the records, I don't know. I think some people might enjoy some of the stuff that I talk about, but for myself personally, I don't particularly love being out in the public quite as much. Not that I hate it or anything like that, but I'd rather leave that to other people.
Not as much as Kieran, he was gonna say.
People to do. I don't say no to AMAs and things like that. I just don't get asked about it as often. And when it comes to things like the dev blogs and stuff like that, one of the main things that has affected that is we've looked at other ways that are a bit more exciting. Me personally, I find the dev blogs to be fairly boring. They're not the sort of things that can be made a lot better. And so I've been pushing very heavily to move it to, say, a video format. And that would be really great. But as we've tried to streamline the team and stuff like that, it's just not feasible to go full on hardcore and have a bunch of people make a really cool, say 10-minute video and stuff like that. The choice has always been just get everyone's head down and building stuff. And yet I get it. It can feel a little bit isolating when you're not hearing from people and stuff like that. But I'll try to be better at answering people inside of the community. I don't shy away from answering people inside of the different channels and stuff. But one of the things that has been a pushback is people say, we never give them any information, all while I'll have answered the same question 800 times. right? But the problem is that I'm answering it to an individual who is asking me the question, inside one of the channels, rather than it coming from one of the official things. Sometimes it is in the official things, and people just haven't read it. So it's really hard to get a win on that sort of stuff. I'm open to ideas, but at the end of the day, I think people need to at least be aware that anytime we're doing.
Well, that's fair, but I think the solution is to post everything in official channels, and if people don't see it in an announcement, well, that's really their fault, right? But if you answer it to an individual in an arena chat, the question that a lot of people have, I think that's just a missed opportunity to communicate to your community in a bigger way, in a more effective way, which would be the announcement channel, for example. That being said, I know they're trying their best, right? It's hard also with stuff you eat. A lot of the times you cannot say what you would like to say and whatever it is. But yeah. If you tag Aaron, he's going to come and answer your question, which is really cool to see from a game director and founder of the game studio and whatever. You don't get that a lot. Try that in League of Legends.
Community outreach and stuff like that, we're not working on the game, and that sometimes makes us feel guilty, because it's cool to speak with you guys and stuff like that, but in an hour I could flesh out more of the features, or add in an extra couple of drone augments or whatever it is, and we do need to be mindful of that balance. But if people do get a kick out of hearing me speak, I don't understand why, but I'm happy to do it. I know that I've got a much more I'll go into more of a deep dive with Paz next week on an AMA. I don't say no to AMAs usually. It's just that
that's right.
Very few people ask me for them. So
I'm a bit scared when it says even more deep dive. I love talking to Aaron. He's a fascinating person, very smart. Yeah, gonna be cool this Friday. Submit your questions, guys, but we're gonna have a good AMA. Tune into that. It's gonna be on YouTube, as most of my content. And by the way, one more time, big shout out to everybody on Twitter watching. It's 1,140 people. If you want to have a chat, I think you have to come to YouTube or Twitch. So just know that I'm multi-streaming, but just pick the platform you like, that you prefer. And yeah, thank you for being here, everybody who watches. Big shout out also to my YouTube and Twitch viewers right now. I appreciate you a lot. And actually, Twitch is popping off today. It's usually the other way around. Cool to see.
I've taken that as I'm better off internal with the team than I am external with the community.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear it personally. Like, there's people that like to hear from you, and there's people that like to hear from Kieran. So, it's definitely either or and both, type of thing. But yeah, all you got to do is ask him, So yeah, and then I guess just a few more things before we cut this off. Yeah, we'll be doing, Kieran's going to do a trivia thing tonight in about 8 hours. He's going to be doing that. They'll have some giveaways for you guys, so that'll be a super hard trivia. It won't be easy as usual, and we'll probably do a gauntlet tournament after that. And then I think we're gonna go ahead and test this. We kind of brought back. I'm trying to bring back internal game nights for the team, because when I first joined the team, we were doing TFT, and obviously now we can do the gauntlet. So I'm gonna start that back up. And Stuart suggested we do it in public voice channels. So hopefully we're gonna do that tomorrow, in about 12 hours, basically. And you'll be able to interact with some of the team, while we play Gauntlet. And yeah, I think it'll be an interesting, fun event. We'll see how it goes the first time. And you'll be able to see a bunch of team members that don't typically play. I already had team members messaging me like, how do I prepare for playing Gauntlet? Because some of them aren't very good at it, So you guys could even coach up some of the team there at this event. So yeah, I want to say thank you again to everybody for coming out. And,
if anyone of the team is viewing, I'm gonna give you a free coaching session. Just reach out. I'm happy to do it. I've had a lot of coaching sessions. I think I got pretty good at it by this point now. And I think we're gonna do like one live on stream. Like I said, it has been a little bit hectic these days. I'm working on something big in the background, which I hopefully can present to you all soon. But it's something huge for Illuvium. And yeah. There has been a lot going on. Right now, we have tournament organization, we have the AMA, we have a lot of council stuff going on right now. Always in the ICC, I think the ICC, we're putting in like 20 hours, 30 hours a week. maybe not quite 30, but at least 20 per person, and it has been really good. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in governance, but yeah, it's cool. But that's why we haven't done the regular streams where I was able, for example, to coach people. But something that's still on the list, I want to do a tier list of the gauntlet units, especially now that we have the tournament. We have a little bit more input from all the players of the screenshots. And then I want to do some coaching. So reach out to me if you want to be in the coaching session. And we're also going to do Phantom coaching with the Phantom Guild. So have like an internal play session and all of that. So feel free to join our little Illuvium Guild. And let's let them finish it off. And then we're going to fuse some Illuvials and see if we can find a perfect
You guys can go
Illuvial.
back and watch it. And yeah, thank you again, Aaron, for coming.
No worries, thank you. Hopefully I haven't inadvertently let out a bunch of leaks that I didn't mean to. If I did, then
No,
you
I
guys
don't
will have
think
to
anyone
keep it
would
to
ever
yourselves.
complain, but all right.
That was great. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Rich. That was amazing. I can't wait to speak to Aaron this Friday. All right, we don't have as many Illuvials as I was trying to get, but we do this pretty much every stream. I play some overworld. We do something fun, talk about Illuvium, and then we fuse the Illuvials that we leveled. And I think in this case, it was a Vermilier, like the first run, right? It was a Vermi. It was also a Tatopy. And then it was also, I don't remember what the third one was, but we'll figure it out. It will come back to me. Maybe a Kling? Maybe if somebody in chat can watch back and see where we were leveling. Oh, it was an Archie. Never mind. It's an Archie. All right, let's find the level 20. Level 26 right here, just missing attack speed. Let's get some music going for our little fuse fest. Yep. A little bit of YouTube music, blues it is. And then we're gonna see if we can fuse some perfect stat Illuvials. So usually how we do it is we have 4 out of 5 perfect Illuvials. In this case, we have a bunch of 5 out of 6 perfect Illuvials, 5 out of 5. With movement speed, which usually I don't care too much about, but yeah. We're gonna try to find actually 6 out of 6 perfect Illuvials, which I don't have a lot of. I don't care much about movement speed, but it would be more future-proof if I did, because maybe there is something coming up where movement speed would actually matter, and it's not as useless as it is right now. So yeah, let's see. Music is coming up. Let's get it. Wish me good luck, everybody. I'm nervous. All right, we got this one. This one is already perfect. We're not going to use it. We have one here with missing resistance. We want to miss not the same stat, so that gives us a better chance. Missing resistance, missing attack speed. And then we have one here with missing attack damage. And that's going to be it. Good luck. Have fun. See you on the other side, Archies. I hope you turn out to be a 6 out of 6 perfect Illuvial, which can be worth quite some dollar. All right, next up we have the Verminio tier 3 right here, and we have the 21 level 21 right here, missing resistance. Here we're missing attack speed, and then lastly we have one that is missing health. All very important stats, so if we don't hit him, Verminio is not going to be very useful without them. We don't have health or resistance. And we're gonna fuse them. See you on the other side. Have fun in the single mingle. Get together. Become something bigger, something greater. Look at that bad boy. The thing we're missing still is like an after fusion screen where you actually see what you did. Like it pops up, shows you the stats and everything. The good thing is we can fuse all 3 Illuvials and then check the stats later on, which makes it a little bit more exciting, I think. So lastly, we have the TNT with, again, a 4 out of 6 right here, just missing attack speed. So we also have a chance here to find a perfect one. And then the other ones are missing health. And then lastly, missing Omega power here, I think. Yes, we already have a perfect one up here. So we're gonna try like a perfect P, and now we're gonna try to find the perfect TNT. Welcome. Came in the right moment. Wait, speed threshold not reached. Did I level the wrong Illuvio? Wait, hold up. Okay, we have two like this. Health, Omega Power, attack speed. I have two that are missing attack speed, 5 out of 6. There we go. Fusion. Let's see it. So goal right here, we have like about a 28-29% chance of perfect stats. I don't know the chances for 6 out of 6, it's a bit lower. But yeah, if we find one perfect stat Illuvio right here in this triple fusion, we got lucky, and I would be very happy. So that's kind of the goal right here. Still being processed, the TNT. There it is. All right, boys and girls, let's see it. Heart goes first. Ouch. Only 3 out of 5 hit, which kind of sucks, makes it pretty much useless. Yeah, that's a big loss. We're starting rough here. Next up, actually, let's check the TNT, because the tier 3 Verminio is going to be worth more. Let's see TNT, 4 out of 5, missing Omega Power, which is rough, but we can still use this TNT to try to make a perfect C4 with 3-4 out of 5 TNTs. All right. Let's see it, last one. We haven't been lucky in the last fusion event that we did in the last stream, so I really hope we hit this Verminio. Can you tell me? I don't want to look. Fuck me, dude. Missing health, goddamn. But also 4 out of 5, which is not the worst, right? It could have been worse, like the Arcos 3 out of 5, but 4 out of 5, we can still use it for another fusion attempt for the stage 3. So it could have been worse, it could have been better. Hey, sometimes it is like that. We have been very lucky over the time. Please don't try this at home, kids and people and adults. It's gambling. I'm trying to roll the dice and get the perfect one. So, but it's a lot of fun, and those don't cost really that much. Like a 4 out of 5 tier 1 Illuvio, like those at the piece, they're like $1. So maybe we lost 10-20 bucks here. Not a big deal, but a lot of fun. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that AMA. I think we're gonna call it right here. The stream has been going on for almost 3 hours. I gotta get back to all the other work in Illuvium, organizing the tournament, doing the AMA with Aaron, getting some questions there. Feel free to submit the questions. And then I'm working on a big project since months. I've put hundreds of hours in there. I haven't leaked anything. I hope soon I get the allowance. I get the approval to leak you all the project I've been working on. You guys gonna love it. It's absolutely insane. I'm so stoked about it. And yeah, until then, I wish you all the best. See you on Friday in the AMA. See you on Saturday in the live stream of the grand finals of the tournament. And see you on YouTube, Twitter, and wherever I do my content. Thank you very much for being with me on this journey, and I see you in the next one. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out, y'all. Bye, goodbye. Adios. Bye.